The 2026 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series races into St. Clairsville, Ohio for Round 7, the Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC. How does Bryson Neal respond after a tough weekend at Round 6? And does the newfound confidence for Wyatt Wilkin push him to further fight for wins in the XC1 class? It's just about time to find out when we go live here on Racer TV.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Round 7 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC Racing Series. This is the Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC. Zach Herron and Johnny Gallagher here in the booth. Johnny, we were just talking about it, Round 7 already, the halfway point of the 2026 season. Seems like just yesterday we were hanging out at Big Bug.
Seems like just yesterday we were getting this season started, and we've already started our northerly swing.
Yep.
Now, it's some different courses. We get into some different dirt, some different conditions. A lot of the riders looking forward to it. But before we get all started on today and the hype that surrounds Powerline Park, taking a look back, just 2 weeks ago, we were in Tennessee for the Old Gray, and man, that one was a barn burner, Zach.
Yeah, the Old Gray, I think, is going to be looked back on in the 26th season as the big shakeup, right, on both the four-wheel and two-wheel side. But, man, talk about a big shakeup at the top of the board. Bryson Neal already having a difficult time moving through the pack. We saw him outside the top 5, now moving just outside of that podium, but then he kind of got stonewalled. He couldn't move forward at all. Wyatt Wilkin and Hunter Hart, and I'm throwing Jay Shadron into that mix as well. They were absolutely on top of their game, and then things went from bad to worse for the number one, ultimately ending up at that 9th place spot. A huge shakeup now, bringing Wyatt Wilkin to, I believe, 22 points back in that 2nd place spot.
Yeah, a shakeup in the points, but a shakeup in the race. Ended up being a mechanical issue for Bryson Neal, as we were told after the fact. Weren't sure if something broke there. It seems as though potentially the ball joint not actually popping off, allowing it to drop out of the spindle, causing a big crash. Hunter and many of the other riders witnessing it, saying they can't believe he was able to get up. Not only getting up, and we talk about championships, salvaging 9th place and essentially 12 overall points, allowing him to still continue to hang on to that point lead, but those 12 valuable points may loom large later in the season.
Well, and like you touched on, not only is it a big point swing, but a big mentality shift as well, right? We've been talking about Wyatt Wilkin and Hunter chipping away at the confidence, not only building their confidence, but trying to put a crack in the armor of Bryson Neal. And this was definitely one of those scenarios. You got to wonder how hard was Bryson trying to push there on that final lap to get up into a podium spot, if not try to keep the winning streak alive. Definitely a big shakeup, and very curious to see how we're going to see those new mentalities approach here Round 7.
Yeah, you know, we're talking a lot about Bryson Neal, and I believe we actually had a chance to catch up with him coming into today's race to get his thoughts on just how things are going in 2026 and how things are shaping up.
I want to win. I've been winning this race the last 2 years, had it at my fingertips. The first year, 2024, with the mud race, then had a 2-minute lead going to the halfway point of the race, and in my mind, I was like, man, I got this track figured out. I know everything. I know all the bad spots, and we hit the nastiest bottleneck that we've had in many, many years, where it just came to a dead-end stop and you couldn't go nowhere. So ultimately, I think I got 3rd that day, and then last year I was winning the race all the way to the last lap, and then the same thing, ran with lap rider on a hill climb, wrong place, wrong time, came in 2nd place last year. So been real close to tasting it here, but we really want to get up and win this race.
Well, no surprise there from Bryson. You knew he was going to be confident, as he should be, right? And maybe a little extra big chip on the shoulder for this weekend. So it's going to be a heavy ask for the rest of the XC1 field. But one guy certainly feeling up to the challenge, Wyatt Wilkin, grabbing that first win of the 2026 season. And we were able to catch up with your Round 6 winner, Wyatt Wilkin.
Still taking it in the past 2 weeks. The first week, dude, I just watched every single highlight video, every clip, just reliving it. No, dude, it was awesome. Literally on the starting line, I told myself, like, man, you just got to execute this start, and then I did, and I was like, you know what, like, I might be able to win this thing, and we stayed out front there for a while, and I really didn't feel like I had a lot of pressure. I just felt like I was riding my own race, and I talked to my mechanic about it, just like trying to set the pace was hard for me, and no, I just rode how I normally would ride. I was like, don't push, don't get hurt, and just keep the quad moving forward, and then we'll let it play out. And I stayed in the lead the whole time, and then just kept cranking it up. And Hunter tried there on the 4th lap on me, and that kind of like re-woke me up, like, hey, you could lose this, but just rode my own race, just rode clean, had one little mistake, and just, I don't know, it was sweet.
Well, there you have it, straight from Wyatt himself. And I think the big thing there for me, Zach, is not only did he win that race, and yes, we know Bryson had some problems late in that race, but the fact that he was in a position to win that race regardless. Could things have changed? Sure. But where they were at on the racetrack, I really believe Wyatt was getting that win either way, and that's a big confidence boost for him coming into today. Another rider with a big confidence boost coming in today, fresh off a podium, Jay Shadron. You know, we've watched this guy over the last several years, everything that he's overcome, but to be back on the box, you know, it was a big day for him. We had a chance to catch up with him coming into today's race.
Towards the end there, and I just seen, like I said, on the podium, just mass chaos, you know, loppers, trees, logs, and Bryson sitting there with a broken wheel, and that's just, at that point I just thought to myself, like, there's no way this is happening, you know, like I couldn't believe this is happening right now, and I just toned it way back. I said, we're just getting this thing to the finish, like it's a mile and a half away, just get there. I don't care if they beat me by a minute at this point, like I'm just getting to the finish in 3rd, so we brought it in, and yeah, it was a big relief, you know, to finally get that podium. Given the, you know, the situation as an ideal, rather win it straight up, but at the same point, you know, you got to get the bike to the finish to get on the podium. So very happy with it regardless.
Stars of the ATV world. As we get ready to line up row number 1, your XC1 Open Pro class.
Well, Jackson, there's also those folks following along on Racer TV, so why don't you welcome for us?
Welcome, everybody on Racer TV, watching from all around the world. Welcome to St. Clairsville, Ohio, for what is the Kenda Powerline Park GNCC. Good to have you tuning in here today with us. And now, without any further ado, we're going to get this show on the road. And rolling to the line first, he will be on the big #1 machine. Your defending champion right here from Ohio, the Bidwell Bullet on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha. Say hello to Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line next, he will be aboard the #5 machine, the Stewart Boys Racing, Kenda and Pierce Performance back Yamaha, making his way from Hillsboro, Ohio. How about an Ohio welcome for Wyatt Wilkins? Rolling to the line next, aboard the 318, HHR Fly Racing and Quad Tech back Yamaha from Newfield, New York. Say hello to Hunter Hart. Rolling to the line next with the headlights shining bright. He will be aboard the Action Off-Road Maxxis Lone Star back Yamaha, the #7 machine from Acme, Pennsylvania, Jay Shadron. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 712 Phoenix Racing Yamaha Action Off-Road and Pierce Performance back drive from Waxhaw, North Carolina. Say hello to John Glotta Jr. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 908 B&R Motorsports Kenda Fearless back Yamaha machine from Elk Ridge, Maryland, Steve Harrell. Rolling to the line next, he will be aboard the #3 machine, the Mara Racing B&R Motorsports and GBC back Yamaha ride from Akron, Ohio, Josh Merritt. Rolling to the line next, on the 15 machine, the Stuyvesant Racing, Maxxis and Moose Racing back Yamaha from Walker, West Virginia. Welcome, Brandon Owens. Rolling to the line next, aboard the #9 machine, He makes his way from Sunbury, Pennsylvania on the Action Off-Road, Amsoil, and CB Racing backed Yamaha machine. Say hello to Chris Borich. Rolling to the line next. He will be on the 5-2-1. From Waverly, West Virginia on his Ober Moose Racing Parts Unlimited and Lone Star backed Honda machine. Say hello to West Virginia's own Adam McGill. Rolling to the line next. They call him the Sneaky Snake on the 8 Honda machine, the JMR, GBC, Elka, and Moose Racing backed Honda machine from Pennsylvania, Jared McClure. And rolling to the line, last but certainly not least, aboard the 171 Phoenix Racing Yamaha from Salisbury, North Carolina, welcome Grayson Eller. And that, my friends, will be your starting lineup for row number 1 here at round number 7. The Kenda Powerline Park Progressive GNCC. Your XC1 Pro Class riders make their way down to the line. And I always say, if you're on the front row of a Progressive Grand National Cross Country race, you are one of the best in the world. And my friends, we have you, the best ATV racers on the planet, ready to go head to head in the mud of Ohio for 2 straight hours. We're gonna turn our attention over to Mr. DJ Judd as he hops in the RMAX 1000. He throws on the Sparkle helmet, and say it with me. This is where we like to ask him, DJ Judd, remove the meat. And now we are going to turn our attention into turn number 1, where the maestro, Ricky Towery, will take the reins of this race, and we will go as Ricky goes. And thumbs up all the way around for Ricky Towery as he now scans down through row number 1. He makes sure our riders are ready to go. And there it is, the blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now. Once again, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. And Ohio, this is where we like to ask you, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, that was good, but I think we can do a little bit better. Kenda Powerline Park, one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? In 10 seconds for your XC1 Pro Class. And the green flag flies, air off. Who's it gonna be? A good drive from the number 1 machine of Bryson Neal. Is it gonna be enough? And it will be Wyatt Wilkin aboard the number 5 machine that grabs a whole shot in the early lead. Here we go now, road number 2, your XC2 Pro-Am, ready to roll in 10 seconds. Keaton Henderson, Talon Stout, Kenny Schick, Dalton Keys, Andrew Bonoski, Trevor Furby, Braxton Gross, Jeremiah Wolf, David Witt, Rudy Lemus, Brian Wolf, Lane McCormick, Logan Still, and it looks like Kenny Schick gonna be able to grab the whole shot. James Glotta in this one as well, and they are off and rolling, headed into the woods. Here we go, road number 3 in 10 seconds for your College A 16 to 19-year-old division. And they're off and rolling. Barrett Childers, Trip Marino, Evan Bridgewater, Ryan Willem, Cameron Mahalan, Cole Owens, Zay Kyle, Thomas Conley, Garrett Rhodes, Levi Ringer, Cooper Krug, Trip Alexo, and a ton more headed into the woods. Here we go, our next row in 10 seconds for our Junior A 20-plus class. Garrison Poe, Michael Ward, Caden Pavick, Colton Kusa, Caden Lambruno, Gavin Mann, Tyler Coulter, Cody Collier are going to be in this one on the 4x4. Gavin Temple, Noah Ragvik, Dominic Stevens, Wesley Wirtz, Camden Schmidt, Seth Wilson, Slater Collins, Chance Hickey, and Christian Meyer. Here we go, our next row, ready to roll in 10 seconds for your Vet A 28+. Jeremy Ladon, Alan Blavos, Alex Elioff, Tucker White, Justin Patterson, Austin McCurdy, Cody Holcomb, Tyler Griffith, Tyler Wares, Kevin Yoho, Christopher Kirby, Cody Wolford, Zach Bothwell, Justin Willis, and Tanner Walker. Here we go, our next row, ready to roll in 10 seconds for your Senior A 40-plus division. Dirk Desari, Matthew Hartwell, Jeff Pickens, Ben Dunlap, Dustin Hendershot, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, Kyle Miley, Santo Derisi, and Fred Marley. Who's it going to be across the stripe? Oh, man, that one was almost too close to call. The 719 looks to have it, Chris Conklin. Next row, ready to roll in 10 seconds for your College B 16 to 18-year-old division. Brady Shepard, John Hancock, Blake Miley, Corbin Hill, Cooper Kasler, Connor Humphreys, Ethan Bridgewater, Austin Harshbarger, Eli Edgar, Braden Toney, Branson Pennell, Austin Wilson, Brady Stoll, Grady Hurst, Jasper Schaefer, and Kel Hoover. Here we go, our next row, blue flag waves. We're ready to roll in 10 seconds for Tristan Howell, Blake White, Pat Davis, Coy Teeter, Cole Mitchell, Josiah Newton, Kyle Ruswick, Ryan Beebe, Zachary Waldrop, Scott Lewis, Adam Saffel, Chris Sloan, Chandler Hell, Blake Moore, Dylan Bothwell, and Sean Street. And it looks like the 801 on the machine gonna grab the whole shot. Here we go, our next row, ready to roll in 10 seconds for your Vet B 28+. Tyler Miller, Carl LeBlanc, Barry Nicholson, Billy Kreiner, Clint Watson, Kyle Patton, Paul McCloskey, Joe Rutherford, Levi Wilcox, and Cody Catano. The 17 on the machine, wasn't able to catch those helmet numbers. Either way, a great drive for that rider. Here we go, our next row, ready to roll in. Up quick, hold on the line. One rider having some troubles in turn number 2. Our Senior B 40+ coming up next in 10 seconds. Aaron Delancey, Joshua Howell, Jason Noble, Nicholas Ringer, Ricky Lewis, Bobby McCauley, Joe DeHart, Robert Perry, Luke Bittner, Jeffrey Kuhn, Jamie Bonner, and Craig Slews. Who's it gonna be? The Green Machine. Gonna grab the whole shot. And with that, that will be our final roll. We are off and rolling here at the Kenda Powerline Park, GNCC. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break and we'll be back in the booth with more action on Racer TV.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that.
This reminds me of my bike.
The wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a man. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful St. Clairsville, Ohio for round number 7 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC Racing season. This is my kind of scenery right here. This is the Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC. Zach Herron and Johnny Gallagher here in the booth, going to be joined by Jackson Burrell here shortly. But Johnny, a little change of scenery here within the last hour or so. We had a beautiful day, absolutely picturesque conditions, and then we heard about this little band of weather that was starting to move our direction. All of a sudden, things started to get a little dark. Mother Nature, of course, the series so exciting, she won't miss around, has to stop by and say hello, keeping the dust under control, but not sure that it's going to be a make or break in this race in the sense of I think we're going to see it change and actually start to tack back up if the rain holds off.
Yeah, absolutely. And yep, absolutely. Sorry, wrong button there. You know, it was the perfect amount of rain, in my opinion. It looks like we may get a little bit more throughout this PM race, but right now the rain that we've gotten really just took what was a pretty dusty youth race and morning race and kind of put a little bit of water on the fields and open sections. Yep. Honestly, took a quick walk into the woods before this one got started. Don't think it did much to the woods, so it's going to be good, man.
Yeah, going to be exciting to watch for sure. Now, if you're just joining us, let's get ready to show you how things got kicked off with our specialized start recap, especially in conditions like this where you're going to have that slick little layer on top, going to be throwing some roost. So important. And this guy, Bryce and Neil, these two gentlemen, I should say, both with something to prove here. The momentum to the side of Wyatt Wilkin and the chip on the shoulder, or a chance to respond for Bryce and Neil, who got a great drive up the inside. But look at this, carrying his momentum wide. Once again, Wyatt Wilkin finds himself leading into turn number 2. Looks like Chris Borich with a great start as well. Jay Shadron up in the mix. I love this start section. We're seeing a lot of swapping inside the top 5. Josh Merritt looked like just outside the top 5 there as well. Your XC2 Pro-Am start. Kenny Schick getting the power to the ground, a little glance over, and he will lead them across the stripe. Trying to see, is that Gross just behind?
No, that's actually Lane McCormick on the outside there in the number 2 spot. And that bright high-vis Camelback and helmet you see there, that is Kevin Yoho, a former XC1 rider. Was signed up for the Vet A class. When the rain came down, he said, nah. We're going to go to XC2 and give these boys a run. So we'll keep an eye out for the big 542 machine.
I love it. So that is how things got started. And we are officially underway here. We take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map, Johnny. Hearing from our riders on the podium throughout the day, a little bit of variety, a little bit of faster field sections, some tighter technical stuff, and then you throw in the Mother Nature curveball as well. A lot of variety out here for round 7.
I got to tell you, all the years racing here, starting back in 2001, this track is one of my personal favorites, but it does, like the riders were talking about, offer a little bit of everything. We see some windy stuff here. You can see just how slick it is. Those back ends kind of sliding around out there. There we see John Gallardo trying to work his way around. Looks like the rider in front of him was Jared McClure, and Hunter Hart still stuck back there a little bit further in the pack from our Yamaha Racing live drone. Didn't have a great start, so P2 at the last race, but working his way up through the pack on this one. But yeah, like you said, Zach, a little bit of something for everyone. If you like the tighter, more technical stuff, Powerline Park has it. You want those fast-flowing sections, Powerline Park has it. You want the fields where you can really let it eat? Hey, we got that here.
Yep.
So it's a very, very good racetrack.
Everybody got something they can feel strong about as we take a look here at our Yamaha Racing live drone. Taking a look back at our 2025 results, Hunter Hart was the man on top of the podium here, so got to think after a very solid performance between himself and Wyatt Wilkin, both of them really stepping up to the plate even before the mechanical issues for Bryson Neal. Hart maybe got a little extra wind in the sail. I know how racers are. They try to hold on to any bit of confidence booster they can. Having such a strong result just a year ago can do just that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things, you come into a track where you've done well before, especially recently, and it just gives you that little bit extra bump of momentum, enthusiasm. Kind of feel like you got a little bit of something special.
Yep.
Looks like that was Barrett Childers there working his way by out of that College A class here at the mile 3 marker. And, man, you can see just how nice it looks in the woods right now. Like I said, imagine if you were able to take a water truck around the entirety of the property, 11 miles. Well, that's what you'd have here today. Good dirt. Going to be a little slick on top as we see here. But as that kind of gets churned up, we'll get some better grip. These guys and gals are going to have a great racing surface. Now back to the lead, and it is the number 5 of Wyatt Wilkin out front. Got a little pause on the camera there. We'll see who is number 2. Actually, that looks like that was Chris Borich there.
Borch was up there off the start.
Yep, and there is
Shadron potentially.
There is Hart for sure. You can tell by the camelback.
Yep.
Looks like that was Shadron there. There is Jared McClure.
And you can really see how greasy it is there. The back end stepping out. Josh Merritt, another tough start for him.
There's Harrell on the 908 machine. There is Adam McGill, the Gator. Was thinking about running the two-stroke out there today. Once he saw the conditions and that rain coming down, thought better of it, went to the better machine, went out there, grabbed that 450 Honda and said, we're going to give her a go, see if we can give these boys a run today. But, man, that was a fan favorite for sure at our Kentucky race. I believe finishing just inside the top 20 overall, which is quite an accomplishment on a machine that's probably older than you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's certainly impressive. And if I'm not mistaken, it was here on property. The two-stroke was ready. I think he even made the call yesterday saying, man, it looks great. If the weather holds off, I want to race it. But like you said, making that game time call, and maybe we'll see it again. Never count out Gator in the two-stroke.
The fans loved it, and
no doubt.
He just kept, every comment was ping, ping, so
yes.
you know he loves it as well. Looking back to our XC2 class here, looks like we saw Jeremiah Wolf coming through, a lot of other riders.
Camry eating a little bit of roost here, giving you a taste at home as to what it feels like to be out on a GNCC course.
Back to our Yamaha Racing live drone, waiting on our leaders or potentially following our leaders here. See if we can get a shot of just who it is.
So we continue to watch and wait. I'm honestly, you see everybody kind of getting sprayed with stuff. You're seeing it collecting on the top, but at the end of the day, I wonder how much that's going to last, because got to think it's just that top layer or so that's really got the water pulled up, and it came down pretty heavy, not for a super long time, but these guys going to kind of throw that top layer off, and then I'm curious to see what the base underneath looks like.
Zach, let me give you a little bit of education here on this Ohio clay. You know, when you push that top layer off, obviously this morning's race had already kind of polished that off, so you've got a very hard pack. This is old strip mine ground, so there's not a lot of good soil under there. It's this clay mixed with a little bit of rock, and there's not a lot of grip in it. So even once they get that top layer off, you know, there will be better grip than there is now. You can see some dust actually starting to kick up in some of these sections here, and it will be a very uncertain race surface, I guess would be the best way to explain it. There'll be parts where you're grabbing a handful, carrying the front wheels, great grip, can point the machine anywhere you want it to go. And then there's other sections you come in, you get on the brakes, and you just almost accelerate. It's so slick. So It is one of those ones where you really have to keep your head on a swivel. You have to be aware of what's underneath the tires. And I think we're going to see a lot of race smarts and racecraft come into play here today.
Well, and to your point there, Johnny, got to wonder, and you can break this down, what setting up looks like for something like this. Gambling a little bit. The rain came. We saw it was there. It was raining rather heavily around the time riders were starting to get ready to go down to the line, trying to make those final adjustments. Is there one thing in particular? Are you trying to set up for a good start as to maybe have a little bit not in your favor late in the race? What is that like?
Well, so I think what's set up for conditions like this, it's not a full mutter. Full mutter, we know the ground's going to get chewed out. The ruts are going to get deep. There's a potentiality to get stuck many times throughout the track or to run the bigger tires. We'll go back to the tire thing. Yeah. We always talk about that. Today, nobody going with the bigs. Reason for that, very hard packed ground. With the amount of moisture that has come down this morning, it's really not going to dig out, and it was very, very dry throughout the weeks leading up to this race. So the track isn't going to get chewed out. Everybody on the conventional 21-inch front, 20-inch rear setup. And the biggest change I think I saw is a lot of the riders going with the gauntlets and the elephant ears to just kind of protect the grips.
Yep.
Obviously, most of the riders going with the roll-offs, which they do on ATVs anyway because your front tires roost you, especially in this section here. Our morning class did not run this section here at the 9-mile mark. They're going to come down this creek. It's a very interesting section of racetrack. The rocks will be moving. There's water flowing, and it is an opportunity to make passes. If you get aggressive, there's places where you can kind of jump off this little rock you see to the left of shot here, or you can continue on the main trail. But the biggest thing, I think, is vision and being able to hang on to those grips. Some of the riders taping off certain parts of the bike to keep mud out of it, whether it be radiators, around the engine, anything to try to keep the machine cool and just really keep from the wear and tear that mud and grit cause on the machine. Biggest setup changes I saw coming into the day.
Taking a look now, waiting on our leaders here at the 9-mile mark. Interesting, actually running along with the creek, so not just a direct going across, but actually going with the creek there for just a moment. And like you said, Johnny, that's one of those sections as we see our leaders making their way through where it won't look even close to the same the next time they get through.
That is still Wilkin out front. Looks like it may be Borch in the number 2 spot. Bear with us here, folks. We're doing the best we can. There is Jay Shadron. Looks like that was Brandon Owens. Might have been Hunter Hart there making some moves. And then that is Jared McClure there paused on screen with the big gauntlets on. Just behind him, looks like John Glauda Jr. there on a charge on that number 712 machine.
Potentially
that is
McGill.
Adam McGill there. See those gauntlets, or they call them the Mafia mitts. His mom actually takes those Power Mad gauntlets and modifies them for conditions just like this. And then that looks like Grayson Eller there on the 171 machine for that Phoenix Racing Yamaha here at the 9-mile marker. Obviously, the rain coming down, presenting a unique set of challenges for all involved.
When you can see they almost had that paint layer. We talk about, obviously, you've got mud here at GNCC, but you've got different kinds. You've got the sticky, almost cement type that just hangs and clings. You've got the clumps, and then you've got what this is almost a spray or a paint-like coverage where certainly makes everybody the same shade of brown, but it also paints the goggles, can get underneath that film layer. As is this
Here comes our XC2 riders, and it is still the 27 of Kenny Schick leading the way in that one. Looks like followed closely by Kevin Yoho now up to the number 2 spot. Looks like he's worked his way around. That looks like Lane McCormick there in the number 3 spot. From there on out, I'll be honest with you, I got no idea.
I'm impressed with what you've done so far. So.
Well, I'll be able to pick out a few more, but yeah, we'll get some camera shots here, see what these guys are going. Now ahead to the 10-mile marker. Here is your leaders coming through. That looked like Borch there. Looks like Bryson Neal. Then we see the headlights of Jay Shadron. There is Brandon Owens coming through. So those are about your top 5 in the running order. And then Jared McClure as well. Did not catch Hunter Hart, but I think he has made a couple passes, worked his way up more towards the top 5 there. See Josh Merritt coming through that shot there. There is Adam McGill.
Yep. So still a bit of a freight train there at the front of the XC1 crew.
Yeah, it's tough in conditions like this. You don't want to push too hard early because one little mistake can just set you back so much. Here comes Grayson Eller now through at the 10-mile marker. And if you push too much and you just push over a berm, you lose so many positions, especially when you're so close together like this. But it's also one of those things, you can't ride too close to somebody because you see the roost. I mean, all these guys are just brown. And you start burning through roll-offs just for the education of those at home. you get about 200 pulls out of that. But a pull doesn't necessarily clear the whole lens.
Right.
It gets you about, depending on where you're at in the roll, a third to a halfway across. So you get about somewhere between 75 and 100 sets of clear vision. But it's crazy when you're battling with someone and you're pulling that constantly, you can go through those in half a lap in conditions like this because you're constantly getting roosted. Still leading the way in XC2, Kenny Schick, a great ride for him here early. That is Kevin Yoho in the number 2 spot. Lane McCormick in the number 3 spot. There is Braxton Gross, your class points leader, Jeremiah Wolf. Bunch of the heavy hitters up front early here in XC2.
Yeah, McCormick 6 points behind Braxton Gross in the XC2.
Keaton Henderson there. Ryder will give a shout out to the number 19, looking for his first podium of the season. Running well here early on in lap number 1. A lot of tree coverage here today. That's helping out the track, keeping a little bit of moisture off of it, but at the same time making it tough for us to follow the action with the drone. But back to the leaders, Wyatt Wilkin out front, fresh off a win at round number 6 and starting to stretch it out now. Has a bit of a lead over that rider in the number 2 spot. Looks like that may still be, the riding style does not look like Chris Borich to me, but that is definitely the big number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet there in the number 3 spot. Then we've got a battle here, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and it is Hunter Hart up to the number 5 spot. So he's made some quick work. Some of these riders, looks like he's gotten around Brandon Owens. So we saw him just near the tail end of the top 10, now up inside the top 5. Hunter Hart, fresh off a 2nd place finish, making moves early here in this one, wanting to get to the front before that lead group kind of figures out the track and starts to get away.
Yeah, you can see Wilkin just kind of starting to get the pieces put together, figuring out how to attack this Powerline Park course track. But yes, Hart on the move right now, making quick moves, trying to figure out.
That is Borich. It is still Borich.
Borich.
No, actually, that looks like Bryson Neal may have made the pass now. We'll see once we get a little closer shots here, but it's starting to tighten back up. That next group of 3 that we know does include Hunter Hart, trying to close back in on the top 3.
So we'll try to pick him back up here on the Yamaha Racing Live drone.
There is Wilkins still leading the way. You can see the gap. He is definitely starting to pull away. A rider that rides very well in these conditions, comfortable and close to home. Shadron now up there as well. The headlights shining, giving him a little bit of extra vision through these darker sections of the woods here.
Like you can see, pretty much nose to tail all the way through here.
Mile marker, so this one is a longer race course here today. We saw a much shorter course 2 weeks ago. I believe only a 9-mile track on Saturday. This one, obviously a much larger piece of property, affording more opportunity for the track crew to really get these guys some room to stretch their legs. And they are working their way back towards the finish line section now, where we will see them checking in. We will get live timing and scoring, give you a rundown of at least our top 10 once they have checked in here, probably in about a minute or so, Zach.
Won't be long now. We'll see exactly how things have shaped up here after 1 lap in the books. As we welcome Jackson Burrell back into the booth. Jackson, those starts absolutely critical after the rain came down shortly before this start, as we pick up our leader on screen, Wilkin, making the most of the start and continuing, as looks like this might be Neal. Now making the move for the number 2 spot.
So he has made the pass around Chris Borich. Borich still there in the number 3 spot, so a solid ride for the veteran. Guys, this guy has won an absolute ton of races. 75 times he has been a victor here in GNCC racing. Look how calm, cool, and collected he's looking on the machine. Standing up, he's latched onto the pace of Bryson Neal after that great start he had, and he says, hey, you know, I've won 75 of these things, but this guy sure has figured out winning them here lately, just kind of following his lines, not using a lot of energy. One thing a guy like Borich has on the rest of this competition, efficiency. You know, he knows how to run at a very, very high pace using very little energy. And on a day like today, would not be shocked at all. We saw last year at Mason-Dixon up in the mix. Look at that. Hunter Hart in the number 4 spot. And there is Brandon Owens in the number 6 spot. I believe that was Jay Shadron there in the number 5 spot. Owens, a rider that will also really like these conditions, coming out of southeastern Ohio, slick clay, used to ride in local races in the rain. Looks like we got a little melee here. Some of these riders struggling through this section of racetrack. Looks like they may have gotten off the main line and had to make a new line. Don't know if we had a rider stuck there or if the conditions have just gotten to be that challenging.
It looked like a rider stuck to me.
It looked like somebody had stepped off the machine.
So that could be a shakeup inside the top 5 as well. Maybe even potentially closer to the front.
We hang here at the 12-mile mark. We'll see if we can sort out exactly what happened there.
We know the running order top 3 was Wyatt Wilkin, and there he is, right on cue. Bryson Neal in the number 2 spot. You see that line coming from the low side, not something the morning race was really tapping into. So Wyatt Wilkin going out there doing his homework, finding that line, and look at this. The gap has definitely gotten much larger, and it is still Bryson Neal in the number 2 spot.
And look at that, Bryson taking a big look over his shoulder right there.
Perhaps Chris Borich, the rider, having some struggles there, and it was, because it's now Hunter Hart into the number 3 spot. Jay Shadron 4th, and looks like Brandon Owens in the number 5 spot. So we have lost Chris Borich here from the running order, at least from what we can tell of the brown guys coming by.
Yeah.
McClure now up into the number 6 spot. There is Borich in 7th, so a big drop back from 3rd to 7th there for Borich. Then it's Adam McGill. Looks like Josh Merritt, John Glauda Jr., Stephen Harrell all coming through at the 12-mile marker. So that about rounds out our top 10 here. And then Grayson Eller hanging close with the lead group here, still very much in the mix. We'll be waiting and watching for our XC2 riders. Kenny Schick leading the way. Best ride he's had so far here in 2026 on the strength of that hole shot. But he had heavy pressure early on, guys, from our last round winner, Lane McCormick. And a cool story there in XC2. Yeah. Lane McCormick, first XC2 win. A rider that, you know, was a standout performer in the youth ranks, fought for championships, class championships in the amateur ranks, and then stepping away to become a journeyman lineman, kind of getting his big boy career started. There's been a lot of adversity within the family. He dedicated that win to his dad, Brian McCormick, when he won there 2 weeks ago. And then also rounding out that podium, the first ever father-son podium duo in the XC2 class, with Jeremiah Wolf in the number 2 spot and Brian Wolf, former multi-time winner in that XC1 class and overall, and 2-time winner of the Snowshoe GNCC, rounding out the podium in that 3rd place spot. Kenny Schick still leading the way. Kevin Yoho in the number 2 spot. Looks like it is now James Glauda up to the number 3 spot. Lane McCormick in there. There's Jeremiah Wolf. Looks like Dalton Keys and another rider. I couldn't quite catch the number there. So that is about the top 6 or 7 now in that XC2 class. Riders now checked in with 1 lap complete, or checking in. We can hear them outside our Racer TV studios.
Still plenty more riders making their way through here at the mile 12 marker. Hey, talking about, as now we see our leaders on our Yamaha Racing Live drone. Johnny, you talk about a journeyman lineman. This is the Powerline Park.
That's right. Lane McCormick may benefit from knowing how to work with those power lines.
Is it electric?
So here he comes, leading lap number 1. Winning our last round, picking up right where he left off, tagging that little track marker there, but Wyatt Wilkin on rails right now, leading the way and opening up a gap over the rest of the field. But Bryson Neal blowing up that berm in the number 2 spot, trying to track down the rider that he knows is on a mission, 2nd in points, and this is the rider he needs to track down if he wants to try to win here today. And then look at this battle coming in over the number 3 spot. Right now, holding on to that spot. We see Hunter Hart charging through there, but it is Brandon Owens now up to the number 3 spot out of Walker, West Virginia, 12 seconds behind Bryson Neal. Just behind him, Jay Shadron in 4th, and Hunter Hart checking in the number 5 spot. So the top 5 checked in here now with 1 lap complete, and it looks like Wyatt Wilkin and Bryson Neal starting to distance themselves just a little bit in that number 1 and 2 spot, guys.
Yeah, you can see a small little bobble there for Wilkin, and then Neal on the absolute charge is, once again, that berm just getting completely blown up.
Rest of your top 10 has now checked in. Running in the number 6 spot, Jared McClure, Chris Borge 7th, Adam McGill 8th, Josh Merritt 9th, and Grayson Eller rounding out the top 10. Wait and watch here for our XC2 riders. Will it still be number 27 of Kenny Schick, grabbing that early lead and has not relinquished it here through lap number 1, riding very well, but a lot of pressure from behind him. Looking like the former XC1 standout, Kevin Yoho, at one point was the number 5 ranked rider in GNCC many years ago. Had a great season that year with multiple podiums, or at least one podium at Snowshoe several years ago. So this is a rider that is very capable, and that is in the XC1 class. Now he's retired, runs some local races. Again, we see this a lot with riders kind of step away, but it gets in your blood. He came here to race Vet A just to have some fun. When the rain came down, people started poking him and prodding him and saying, hey, you know, Kevin, you're pretty good in the mud. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and look at this. I think he's taken over the lead now. He has, up to the lead in that XC2 class. James Galata into the number 2 spot. Lane McCormick checked in the 3rd place spot. And Logan Steele, 4th. Dalton Keys now in 5th in that XC2 Pro-Am class.
So a shakeup at the top of XC2.
A big one. How about that, Johnny? Just as you were saying it, Kevin Yoho able to overtake that top spot.
Yeah, and this is a rider who has a ton of experience in the mud, a ton of racecraft. He is a rider not likely to make a mistake. The question is, will he have the fuel in the tank to go the 2 hours? When we say the fuel, sure, they can stop and gas him, but when that body runs out of energy, he does still race. He runs multiple local series, hits some GNCCs here and there, and he's just a fit guy. He just doesn't like to sit home and sit on the couch. He's out jogging, and he's in pretty good shape, but it's different when you're training versus when you're actually racing. So I expect to see Kevin have to dig very deep here today to stay in the mix for this win, but certainly well within his capabilities.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Water bottles don't quite fuel you up the same way.
Yep.
Here we go.
Fueled up right now. Wyatt Wilkin checks in here at the 1 mile. The fans hanging around. I believe that was Bryson Neal.
And it appeared to be so. Mother Nature playing a little bit of tricks on our camera here in this one.
Brandon Owens there still running strong in the number 3 spot. Back to your leader, Wyatt Wilkin, the big number 5 out front, letting that machine grip and rip.
Guys, look at how beat up this straightaway is becoming now, as they're really starting to dance around.
Looks like Bryson Neal may have stopped and got some goggles. We saw him looking like he didn't have goggles on. It looked like I saw a strap there in the number 3 spot. Brandon Owens, a little salute to the fans there.
Feeling good right now.
With the pressure coming from behind him. There, Jay Shadron in the number 4 spot, and Hunter Hart looking very racy, trying to put the moves on Jay Shadron here to try and take away that number 4 spot after a poor start.
Yeah, you can tell Hart wants back around Shadron. If that was him that was in front of him, wasn't 100% sure, but
yeah, it was definitely Hart and Shadron. You can tell the headlights when they come out here. We'll get a shot of it head on, but a little bit of mud covering those headlights here today. These guys are taking a lot of roost, but not Wyatt Wilkin out front leading the way. Was able to power around the outside of Bryson Neal in turn number 1. Looked like Neal had the preferred line, but Wyatt Wilkin saying, hey man, if I want to get back in this championship, this is the guy I got to beat. You can see some dust actually kicking up here already. That's a very fun section of racetrack, running that every year. B. Neal in the number 2 spot, almost looking like a sprint car coming around there with the fluff just kind of flying off his rear tire.
Well, Wyatt Wilkin, you know, we chatted with him a little bit post-race, talking about the new confidence he found after taking down Bryson Neal. But we were able to catch up with him here this weekend a bit further and talk about his new mindset headed here into round 7.
Let a bunch, and it's just like, I'm still learning that, but when you're out there, it's so hard to fight. Do I play offense or defense? Am I trying to run and am I trying to get away and bridge and get away from everybody? But then you take the chance of messing the bike up or messing up and going off track or whatever. Or do you play it smart? But then you start worrying about the people behind you, and then you're like, man, is Hunter going to try to pass me here? Is Bryson going to get past him? It's so hard. My everybody gives you crap, like they think we just ride the four-wheel, but your mind is going the whole entire time. We're thinking about every single scenario, every single situation we could get in. Well, when you're out front, man, you're just, I don't know, hoping to God you can get away from everybody and pull it together. It's just crazy, the emotions and stuff that goes through it. But yeah, hopefully I can get some more laps led, and then I can maybe give you a better answer.
Well, there you go. Wyatt Wilkin talking about wanting to get some more laps led. Well, he was able to do just that with lap number 1 here. And Jackson, as we watch the leaders on screen, Bryson Neal now looking like he's starting to track Wyatt Wilkin down just a little bit. A couple things Wyatt mentioned in that interview, talking about everything that goes on in your head during a race. Obviously, the emotion that we saw out of Wyatt Wilkin as he was able to grab that first win of 2026, you could see he was just wearing it right on his face, wasn't even trying to hold it back, and that is just so awesome to see. But when you talk about all those calculations and thinking about scenarios, we've even heard these guys talk about, hey, I knew when I was out there, when I was in third, that meant this for the points. So imagine racing at that level and then also doing math in your head and figuring out, well, if I pass this guy, it's going to mean this many points for me. It's pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Riders like Wyatt Wilkin, I don't understand how they're able to do what they do on the machine, but then you hear all, like you're saying, Johnny, that goes through their head in a race, and just how aware they are of what's going on around them, and I'm sure Wyatt is right now for sure. And I had to wonder, Johnny, we're talking about mindset and what's going through these riders' head. What has changed from Bryson Neal after having the weekend that he had at our last race for round number 6? What's going through his head as now we see, I believe, Bryson on screen right now?
And still no goggles for Bryson, so that was a missed call on my behalf. Just taking the strap off, left the imprint of the strap, making it look like he got new goggles. But he said, nope, as bad as things are, we're just going to go ahead and try to fight through with no goggles. Brandon Owens in the number 3 spot. And look at this, Hunter Hart has gotten around Jay Shadron, now up to the number 4 spot, and very quickly closed the gap to Brandon Owens. So Hunter Hart right now, the rider on the move. As far as Bryson Neal's mindset, Jackson, I mean, we could talk to him to find out exactly, but I did hear him mention after the last race, that was a hard crash. Do I think he's riding scared out there? Absolutely not. But do I think it's in the back of his mind? Obviously, a new dad, another baby on the way. It's one of those things, as you get a little bit older, you start to kind of understand what can happen out there. You don't ride, I wouldn't say any less aggressively, but you just don't take those chances. And we've seen that a lot this year with Bryson Neal. But he's been able to allow these races to kind of unfold, keep himself in the mix, and up until last round, he's been able to come away with the win the first 5 rounds, and even last round, were it not for that ball joint issue, he was right in the mix for the win there in the final miles after being much further back in the pack throughout the race. So he's got a great mindset. He knows what it takes. He's won so many of these races. It's not a guy that you can ever count out. There's John Glauda Jr., the 712 machine, looking like he is running. Actually, not showing in our running order, but we do know that he is there running inside the top 10.
And to your point there, Johnny, you talk about somebody like Bryson Neal. We've seen aggressive Bryson. We've seen intense Bryson trying to get away, and he did the damage early on to where now I think we're going to start to see smart Bryson, managing Bryson, where it's not, like you said, if the wind's there, if he feels he's faster, he's going to take those, he's going to go for those passes. He's still going to take the chances, but at the end of the day, really hanging it out there on a wire. Not just, whether it's the new father thing, but just at the end of the day, people remember championships. I've heard him say that before, and he's thinking big picture as much as the individual battles.
Absolutely.
As we see Wyatt Wilkin on the screen, I think you guys are exactly right. It's hard not to think that he's not going to be a little bit more conservative. That was a brutal end to the race for him. He talked about going over the handlebar several times. We didn't catch it on Racer TV, but nonetheless, that was a brutal finish, and I'm sure that took a lot out of him just to finish that race out. Got some good points out of it, though. A top 10 finish even after all he went through.
Well, and that's a great point, Jackson. What could have ended up being a DNF and a 30-point loss for Bryson Neal, he had the mental, strength, but also awareness to say, okay, that was a big crash, but I'm okay-ish. Like, I'm not injured, I'm just hurt. And he went ahead, dug deep, and basically pinned it to the finish line on 3 wheels to get there to still salvage 9th place overall points, meaning 12 points on the day. That's a big difference from 0. That keeps him, not that he wouldn't have still been in the points lead because he had a massive points gap. Headed into round number 6, we see Adam McGill on screen now here at the 6-mile marker. Then it is Jared McClure, Chris Borich, a rider riding so well early on. He's got to be bummed. I think he might have been the rider off the machine we saw. Then Stephen Harrell and Josh Merritt. That is I believe those riders are behind John Glauda, who's not showing up in the running order right now. So they're just at the tail end of the top 10 right now.
Hanging here at the FMF PowerPoint as things getting kicked off here for round number 7, just about the halfway point of the 2026 Progressive GNCC racing season. So taking a look, the rain stopped in just before the start of this race. Wyatt Wilkin makes the most of it with a great start. Bryson Neal now making some moves into the number 2 ride, just in front of Chris Borch, who would have his own issues, find himself just outside the top 5. How's it all going to shake out? We'll find out when we're back racing live here on Racer TV. We'll be right back.
Don't let waiting in line for service sideline your machine. Eliminate the wait and save money by doing it yourself. AMSOIL makes it simple, with oil change kits that include exactly what you need in one convenient package. Choosing the right kit is also simple. Just plug your ride into the Shop by Vehicle tool at AMSOIL.com and have your kit delivered right to your door. Get the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Enjoying some of the local Ohio history here at round number 7, the Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC. Hey, we've been talking a lot over the last year or so about the Blackwater movie we've been working on. Well, guess what? We have just got a special sneak peek we want to share with you right here on Racer TV.
In 1975, a small town in West Virginia named Davis was the site of a revolution because it's there that promoter Big Dave Koontz and his family put on an off-road motorcycle race the likes of which the world had never seen before. It was called the Blackwater 100, but known simply as America's toughest race. And it gave birth to what is now known as the Grand National Cross Country Racing Series, the largest off-road racing series in the world. 50 years of history means 50 years of characters in the trenches, creating a legacy. And there's a feature film coming with stories like this.
I got into the lead right at the rock garden section at Howard's Hole, and then I flipped the bike upside down on top of me. And don't know if the fan who picked it up sounded like he had his hand on the starter button wide open. And I was kind of just got up, fell down again, and he was just still holding it wide open. So our starter went out later in the race. I was right there in the fight for the podium around the top 3, and I stalled the bike in the rock section and hit the start button. I had nothing. So I barely, by the skin of my teeth, got it back started, but the starter went out on us and was able to get it fired back up eventually, get it to the finish line, but it was made for a hard day.
I'm Jason Wygant, and I hope you'll join us in celebrating the history of the Blackwater 100 and GNCC racing as we anticipate the motorcycle movie event of the decade. We'll see you at the theater.
Chills, boys. I've got chills. I am pumped up. That is so cool to see. And how about this? Our very own Todd Huffman with Blackwater. We're doing some editing on one screen, enjoying some live racing on the other. Love to see it, Todd. Love what you guys have done so far, and we cannot wait for the full film to come out. Going to be a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're passionate about ATVs and motorcycles and racing, this is the movie for you. And if you don't know anything about it, it's still the movie for you because it's going to have some interesting storylines, really tugging at the heartstrings, some of them, riders overcoming adversity, the family atmosphere of GNCC, and starting off, obviously, the name of the movie, Blackwater. You guys are a little on the young side. I don't think any of you were even born yet when the Blackwater was going on. But, man, to have the opportunity to be there in person, there's the spirit of Blackwater live on screen from our Racer TV cameras. You can see the fans getting involved as our lead group coming by here. Looking like some now of our riders really stepping off that rock drop there here at the 9-mile marker. These guys know they're on camera. They're entertaining the riders, entertaining the fans at home. But Blackwater was a spectacle, to say the least. You'd come to creek crossings. When you say creeks, we're talking rivers here, boys. And there'd be just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fans there, if not thousands in many cases, similar to what we would now see at Howard's Hole at Snowshoe. But it was around almost the entire, I believe at the time, it was a 50-mile racetrack. And they would do 2 laps for 100 miles. But they'll give you all the details in the movie. I had the opportunity to be there as a young man, and what a spectacle it was. It was just pure energy, and the people just love the chaos, and that's what Blackwater brings. And still to this day, on a day like today, not the toughest of conditions, but the rain definitely making it a little bit more interesting for these riders, bringing a little bit of that spirit of Blackwater here today at the Powerline Park GNCC.
I'm telling you what, Jackson, it doesn't get much cooler than that, especially, like Johnny said, still relatively new as far as the grand scheme of things. Year 51 of GNCC racing, and so grateful to be able to be a part of it. But the history is just as much enjoyable as the modern racing that we see here today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I can't wait for this Blackwater movie to come out. A ton of different stuff in it. It's not just Bryce and Neil and those guys. We have some of our younger racers that are going to be in it, the whole spread. And going back to Johnny talking about the Blackwater, I don't even know where you find 50 miles to make a track on for just one lap. It's amazing, and I'm excited to get to know a little bit more of the history myself.
Yeah, it was quite the spectacle, and it really did take over the town of Davis for all of the years of the Blackwater from 1975 all the way up until the last year that they actually ran Blackwater in 1993. I could be wrong on the years here, but from my recollection, it was originally supposed to be on the schedule in 1994, which was my first year racing the big race in GNCC. Was so looking forward to my shot at Blackwater. It was ultimately taken off the schedule for some conflict of interest. Obviously, the grounds were not entirely private property. There was a lot of state game lands and all kinds of different stuff. Just wasn't able to make the race happen in 1994. So while I got to be there, never got to race it. And to this day, I'm waiting for them to bring back the Blackwater reunion. They had it last year. I thought it was going to be a race, and I was in. And the minute they told me, no, we're just going to start the bikes on Main Street, definitely a cool event. But I said, I got some other stuff to do that day. I'm not going to drive all the way down there for that. But, man, what a spectacle Blackwater was. And you can follow all that action along when the movie's released here soon. So make sure you follow all of the progress of that on BlackwaterTheMovie.com. And you're going to get to see when that thing is released. Looking, I believe, a fall release of 2026 is what they're shooting for.
And Todd and the crew on Instagram, making sure to keep everybody up to date. You can find all the stuff on the social medias. They're posting clips of it. A ton of good stuff to go and watch. And plenty of interviews to currently watch to see what's going to be in the movie. Was that our leader?
It was Hunter Hart actually coming by. We did see our leaders just ahead of him there, but Brandon Owens either got away. Nope, Hunter Hart looks like he has made the pass now on Brandon Owens, at least from what we could see of that quick drone shot. We'll wait, get a little better shot of things here when they work their way around to the next section of racetrack. But looks like Wyatt Wilkins still leading the way. Bryson Neal in the number 2 spot. We'll have to see if Hart has worked his way around Owens or if Owens pulled a gap. And it...
hard to tell from here.
Yeah, don't believe that was one of our lead riders.
Trying to watch the body style of these riders and the aggression. About the only way you can tell in conditions like this.
That is actually some of our XC2 riders. That was Kevin Yoho. There is James Galata. I can tell by the jersey there. And looks like Logan Steele making some moves there, has made some passes. Shout out to Harrison Lindsay and Ryan Wilhelm, 2 of our top overall amateur riders out of that college A class in the number 1 and 2 spot, sitting in 18th and 19th overall after 1 lap complete.
So a couple riders on the charge here as we are just about 52 minutes into this approximately 2-hour-long race.
Looks like that may have been Yoho, and possibly Lane McCormick has made some passes now, gotten in the lead, because there is James Galata. So that is your top 3 in that XC2 class. There's Logan Steele in the number 4 spot in that XC2 class on the 716 machine. A rider with a ton of speed, has just had some heartbreaks this year, some mechanical issues, some crashes, but solidly running in the number 4 spot and in the mix for a podium here today. Very close to home race, rider out of Katanning, Pennsylvania. And that.
Man, you can see just how slick it is from here, and it looks like from the drone shot, maybe just a little bit of sprinkles starting to come back down.
Coming down.
And these are the kind of conditions that really, they're tough when you got all this rainwater that is on those straight sections, and then the powdered berms just over to the side. That's definitely a tricky course that we have here today.
There was McClure, Merritt, looked like McGill possibly in that mix, and might have been Chris Borich as well. So that's about the 6th through 9th place battle there on screen. I think that's Grayson Eller there in the number 10 spot out of that XC1 class. I think actually running 11th. John Galata Jr. not showing in the live timing and scoring. I actually know he had a transponder on there because I saw them putting it on just before the race got underway. So Galata running somewhere inside the top 10 right now. Now jumping ahead, Jackson, to the 12-mile mark. A little bit different view of this one. We were coming from the other way last time on this camera shot. We'll see if we can get these riders coming through, get you an exact running order before they do check in to complete 2 laps. And you see the time really ticking away in this one. Now 53 minutes in, still not 2 laps complete. Back to the pro pits, and Wyatt Wilkin leading the way. You can see the crew. And Bryce Neal lighting up the tires coming out of the pit there, trying to make the pass, and will it be enough? Wyatt Wilkin is already, you see the burnout marks, he is already back on track and continuing to lead the way. So Bryson Neal still giving chase from the number 2 spot. Wyatt Wilkin a little further ahead on track. Here you can see just how slick it is. Running out to the cushion, you can see the dust exploding, but when they get to the insides where it's polished off, it's like riding on an ice skating rink, fellas.
We got to talk, when I was talking to our youth and our micro riders earlier today, I know it sounds contradicting, but I understood exactly what they were saying. They were saying it was muddy, but it was dusty. That was what a lot of the kids said, muddy and dusty. And we had no clue what we'd be seeing here today. Now it is really muddy and dusty.
Welcome to Ohio. We got here, I got here on Thursday, it was 42 degrees. I think the high temps for tomorrow, 115. So that's just Ohio in the springtime. You get all 4 seasons, sometimes in 24 hours.
It's going to be a gnarly one rolling into tomorrow after what Mother Nature has played on us here today. It is already a gnarly one, as possibly a little more rain going to come in before this one's over with. We'll just have to wait and see exactly what Mother Nature is going to do.
Yeah, did a little old school meteorology, just walked outside, and I didn't feel any rain just outside of the Racer TV truck. Like we said, a bit longer of a course as we hang here at the pit lane. I believe that was Merritt.
Yep, looks like Josh Merritt in and out. Chris Borich looking like he was coming into the pits as well.
There we go, flashing back to our Yamaha Racing live drone.
Wyatt Wilkin, leader on screen, just sliding his way around through those final corners. Taking a look over his shoulder, seeing the big number 1 of the Bidwell Bullet. Bryson Neal quick in and out of the pits, and he definitely closed up that gap just a little bit to Wyatt Wilkin. Lap number 1, 29 minutes, 20 seconds. Lap number 2, 25:51. So there was a little bit of additional racetrack from the start. It actually comes in just before or just after the 12-mile marker. Now we see our third place rider on screen, and it is Hunter Hart. He has made the pass up to that third place spot, only 15 seconds behind Bryson Neal. And looking at those lap times, both Bryson Neal and Hunter Hart running a faster lap than your leader, Wyatt Wilkin. So this one could tighten up here very quickly, boys. It's really starting to look like we may have a 3-rider battle for the lead here very soon. Ironically, the same 3 riders we saw late, just before Bryson Neal having that ball joint issue, coming to the finish line 2 weeks ago in Tennessee.
And all for different reasons. You know, all 3 of those riders are going to have a fire under them. It's anybody's guess who could be on top here at the end of this one. Hart, Neal, Wilkin. They've all 3 stamped their name as riders that could be up on the top of the podium. And look at this, Johnny.
Lane McCormick in the pits, and last we saw on screen, it appeared he had taken over the lead in that XC2 class, running in the number 3 spot on lap number 1, but we'll find out exactly where he stacks up in the running order here just outside of a minute from now as he works his way through the finish line. More riders now checking in the number 4 spot. It is still Brandon Owens, Jay Shadron 5th, Adam McGill up to the number 6 spot. So a good ride for the Gator up there inside the top 10. Jared McClure 7th, Chris Borich 8th, and actually looking like now we've had a mix-up. Stephen Harrell jumps ahead of both Borich and McClure up to the number 7 spot, 27 seconds behind Adam McGill in 6th. So with now 10 riders checked in, Josh Merritt has checked in, and John Glauda Jr. has also checked in the number 11 spot.
Look at that. Sorry, Johnny, didn't mean to cut you off there. One of our quick fill tanks getting caught up there.
And that's Braxton Gross, your XC2 points leader, was running outside the top 5 on lap number 1, looking like he's making some moves, trying to get up in the mix and gain himself some valuable points here today. Now we've got Grayson Eller checked in the number 12 spot behind his teammate, John Glauda Jr., 5 seconds behind Glauda. So the battle, even at the tail end of the top 10, is fast and furious. These riders are throwing it down out there as the track really starting to look like it's coming around.
Yeah, I noticed that when they were able to take off there, it's amazing to see how these ATVs, once they catch one of those berms, Johnny, it's like a slingshot.
Yeah, there's some dry dirt in those berms, slick on the inside, but once you get those rear tires to hook up, just shoot you out, shoot you forward. And we're waiting and watching here for our XC2 riders. We believe it will be the 512 of Lane McCormick when he does check in, leading the way in that class, winning our last round. A little bit extra confidence coming into today. And he's really been kind of talking that he's in this for the championship fight. And I believe that may be McCormick right there. It is. The number 512 is checked in now, and he is your XC2 class leader. Taking a look over his shoulder, nobody behind him, so he's starting to open up a gap. We had seen James Glauda and also Kevin Yoho very much in the mix. Yoho actually leading lap number 1, so we'll see what those riders slate in. But right now, Lane McCormick, look at this lead here in XC2. He is just on another level. Looks like that's Logan Steele now up to the number 2 spot. And then Kevin Yoho rounding out the podium in that XC2 class, just making that decision moments before the race to even give it a go. I believe that was possibly James Glauda getting ready to cross. It was James Glauda in the number 4 spot, Dalton Keys 5th, and also Jeremiah Wolf in the number 6 spot. Back to the battle for the lead.
So how about it? We see Wilkin on your screen. And the gap.
So this should be Hunter Hart coming, both Wilkin and Bryson Neal through that shot. And there is Hart in the number 3 spot. So the battle up front has now distanced themselves a little bit from Hunter Hart once again. He was 15 seconds back at the white flag, and it doesn't look like he's been able to make up any real ground here in these couple miles of racing we've seen here on lap number 3.
Yeah, this is going to be fun to watch. We know how creative Neal can get when he needs to be. Got to wonder whether he's got any tricks up the sleeves here in this, but you know, Jackson, thinking back to it, Wilkin, he's been so comfortable under pressure throughout this season. I think Neil knows he's going to have to either hope for a mistake or get really kind of crafty to find a way around Wyatt Wilkin.
Well, Wyatt talked in that interview earlier, as we see him on screen here, about what all is going through his head, taking a look over his shoulder. And I got to tell you, when you're in a position where Wyatt Wilkin is, the last rider you want behind you is the 4-time and defending champion, the rider who's won 5 of the first 6 races. You were able to open up a little bit of a gap. Now he's gobbled that up, and he's right on your rear tires. Man, it can weigh so heavy on your mind. But Wyatt Wilkin did a masterful job 2 weeks ago. But Bryson Neal continuing to close the gap. The pressure is starting to build here. Bryson Neal is picking it up to a whole new pace as he chomps away at the small gap that Wyatt Wilkin was able to build up.
Guys, I said that he would be conservative here today. The Bidwell Bullet looks to be quite the opposite. Looks like he is firing off now, and if he can apply some pressure here to Wyatt Wilkin, whoa, that might be the difference maker.
Well, and I tell you what, Jackson, I think back to what Johnny was talking about in regards to Chris Borich was the experience, the wisdom as far as past years here. Bryson Neal now getting to that side where he's got quite a career to look back on experience, and you can see he's just these little lines, a little bit to the left, a little to the right. He's getting better drives out of the corners. He's setting himself up just a little bit more, and little by little chipping about half a bike length at a time away into that lead.
Well, the big advantage right now for Wyatt Wilkin leading the way is obviously he can somewhat control the pace. There is a lot of passing opportunities from what I've seen out on this track, but he knows where those are. Obviously, Bryson may have something up his sleeve. We've seen him with some very crafty lines from out pedaling and walking. We saw that at Kentucky, zapping from third all the way to lead, literally in 2 corners of racetrack. But Wyatt Wilkin is the one throwing the roost right now. And vision, as we saw by that commercial there from our friends at Scott Goggles, you know, when the mud starts flying, you've only got so many pulls in those roll-offs. Yes, those riders just pitted. They got fresh goggles. But the ideal situation is now you want to try to make those last till the finish. Bryson Neal back there, you can see him kind of hanging just outside that roost zone, but in order to make a pass, he needs to get close enough to Wyatt Wilkin. You can see him getting slideways there. I'm going to steal our man Zach Herron's
you earned it.
little tagline, but it really is a chess match of, unless you can pass, you don't want to get too close to the rider in front, because then you're just constantly pulling those roll-offs as well as packing the radiator full of mud. It just becomes a whole lot of extra weight on the machine. It makes it harder to ride, where Wyatt Wilkin, clear track in front of him unless he's passing lapped riders. So as much as he doesn't want to make a mistake and let Bryson Neal by, he wants to guard that position as much as he can, not only to ultimately get the win, but we're still pretty early on in this one, about halfway through. You don't want to have to try and chase Bryson Neal down eating all that roost.
No doubt about it as we watch them weave their way through the Ohio forest here on the Yamaha Racing Live drone.
We can still see some standing water in some of these ruts here from that rain earlier today.
It's funny, you can literally see standing water and then dust a few corners later.
Exactly, quite the opposite in some of those straightaways over
Welcome to Ohio.
Yeah, see it. I was very surprised at how dried out that one whooped out straightaway was. We saw dust kicking up not just only on the berm, but in the actual straightaway itself. So this just goes to show these guys, they're going to have to be on their toes here today.
As we watch this battle for lead unfolding in front of us here from this Yamaha Racing Live drone, I have to wonder, how much pace does Hunter Hart have? We saw him just methodically pick his way through the pack on lap number 1 and 2, all the way from outside the top 10 after a poor starter, just inside the top 10 perhaps, up now into the number 3 spot, but with a 15-second gap to make up on Bryson Neal and Wyatt Wilkin. As we get into the lappers, it could get interesting. We do know that the lead riders have a harder time getting through those lapped riders because the riders don't know they're coming. Once they actually sense that they're getting lapped, they'll be more aware of faster riders coming up behind them, so that could benefit Hunter Hart. But he needs to get to this group quickly if he wants to have an opportunity to see their lines, see what they're doing, and potentially size them up for a pass later in the race.
Yeah, Johnny, it's hard to know the pace if those riders are completely out of sight like that.
Well, I can tell you what Hunter Hart's pace is right now, wide open. He knows he's got 15 seconds to make up on the 2 riders who have already won races here in 2026 and the top 2 in points. He's a rider that's been very much in the mix throughout the first 6 rounds, but the pace is all he's got right now unless he's able to catch those riders, at which point he may be able to regroup, but first he's got to get to the rear wheels and get in the fight.
Hanging here at the FMF PowerPoint, mile number 6. Waiting on your leaders as Wyatt Wilkin continues to perform under pressure from Bryson Neal. You see a bit of hydration for the number 1.
We've talked about that before. Bryson will sometimes ride a complete lap with a water bottle hanging there, just making sure he gets the proper amount of hydration to carry that level of performance all the way to the finish. Now we'll get a shot back here to the 318 of Hunter Hart in the number 3 spot and see what that gap is. It was 15 seconds. Looks like it's kind of stabilized there. Doesn't look like he lost any time, but he hasn't made any massive gains either. Look at this now. Brandon Owens has closed the gap back up, and he can see Hunter Hart in front of him. So Owens, the rider, on the move.
How about it? The number 15 on the charge forward. Going to try to steal that last podium spot back from Hunter Hart.
Thinking back to round number 1, those two carried it right down to the final corners. Jay Shadron running solidly in the number 5 spot, coming off of that podium 2 weeks ago in Tennessee. Elated. That's the best way you could explain Jay Shadron after the race. Obviously, Wyatt Wilkin overwhelmed with emotion, but Jay Shadron been such a long journey for him to get up in the mix. So when you're on the podium, that's a great day.
Well, you know, like you said, it was an overwhelming, emotional situation for the whole family there, and we were able to catch up with him and talk a little bit about it. Jay Shadron.
Towards the end there, and I just seen, like I said, on the podium, just mass chaos, you know, loppers, trees, logs, and Bryson sitting there with a broken wheel, and that's just, at that point I just thought to myself, like, there's no way this is happening, you know, like, I couldn't believe this is happening right now, and I just toned it way back. I said, we're just getting this thing to the finish, like, it's a mile and a half away, just get there. I don't care if they beat me by a minute at this point, like, I'm just getting to the finish in third, so we brought it in, and yeah, it was a big relief, you know, to finally get that podium. Given the, you know, the situation isn't ideal, rather win it straight up, but at the same point, you know, you got to get the bike to the finish to get on the podium. So very happy with it regardless.
So Jay Shadron stoked with that result, and he's in the points mix now as well a little bit. Like we said, a big shakeup here at that last round. Let's hear what Jay has to say about his new points position.
I'm very happy with where we're sitting. You know, 4th in points now. I mean, that's great. I couldn't be happier with where we're at, especially at this point in the year. You know, I really didn't even think about it until like the other day. I was like, man, like this race is over halfway through already, and it's crazy. We're sitting in a really good position, so just got to keep it consistent, man. Keep fighting for the podiums. You know, being right there at the worst in the top 5 to stay in that position. And man, would it nice to be number 3 at the end of the year. You know, that was always one of the goals of mine that I never really achieved. That would be a really good one for me.
Well, Jay Shadron talking about sitting 4th in points, only 16 points behind that ultimate goal of getting into the top 3. And we've seen so many crazy developments here in 2026. That could happen here today. You just never know. But with you've got to look at what we're seeing on track. We did see that split screen. Don't know if you caught it, Zach. That's what I was pointing at. Bryson Neal had an outside line there that no one else had used, where he swept out around some trees to get better drive up that hill. Those are the little things that are allowing him to seemingly close up that gap on Wyatt Wilkin. And look at this, freight trainer riders checking through at the finish line. You want to talk about Monday morning traffic headed to work. These guys are battling it out. I don't know what classes we're looking at, but man, that is just a freight train of riders coming through. Looks like we do have a new leader in our College A class, Ryan Wilhelm. Out of that College A class, 20th place overall. He has gotten around Harrison Lindsay and holds a 0.7 second lead. Ooh. So the battle in that College A class is heating up. Somebody better call the fire department, because those boys are about to burn it down.
Not a lot to work with there at all.
You ask what class, Johnny, I believe that was all the classes. Junior B, College B, Vet A, you name it. They were in that battle going through the line.
Yeah, we see a lot of familiar names checking in there. Jackson Hancock, Evan Bridgewater, looks like Ben Dunlap, Branson Pinnell, all those riders checking in, and that was a freight train. Those guys trying to battle in their own class, but also battle their way through classes in front of them, and it really becomes interesting here. One of the unique experiences of GNCC, you're out there with upwards of 10 classes, so not only are you battling riders for position, but you're trying to battle through other classes, whether it be XC1 trying to battle their way through lapped riders, or depending on the starting order, you're having to battle. Oh, look at that line on the high side there looked like an interesting line. Don't know if it was Wilkin or Neal taking that line.
As close as they get now. Neal's right on his rear wheel.
And take a look at this, guys. The sun starting to shine through the trees.
Yeah, getting bright back outside the Racer TV truck here.
Yeah, it sure is. This could be a pleasant surprise for our riders.
Now we see Hunter Hart, our third-place rider, on screen, still continuing to try to close up that gap to our leaders. Hunter full push through that water section. He's running the gauntlets. He's not worried about getting the hands or the grips wet. He's got those roll-offs. He's not worried about vision. He's just pushing for all he's worth, trying to catch that lead duo at the moment.
Well, how about it? Things are starting to fall into place as Wyatt Wilkin under heavy pressure from the number 1 of Bryson Neal. Jay Shadron, you see on your screen the headlights still a shining, getting wiped off just a little bit there through the creek. But Wyatt Wilkin, there is that move that Johnny was talking about around the outside. An impressive run there from Bryson Neal. And the rest of the field are going to start to try to claw their way forward. Can Hunter Hart start to chip away at this gap? First pit stops are done and dusted as we get ready through the mid part of this race. Bryson Neal starts to charge forward. How's it all going to shake out? We'll find out when we're back with more racing live here on Racer TV.
Hey race fans! Gear Bicycles is on hand today with the all-new Gen 4 Specialized Levo. They also have great deals on Gen 3 Levos and used bikes. Stop by their booth and see for yourself how fun it can be riding around these GNCC hills. Gear Bicycles is sponsored by Progressive. When you stop by their booth, you can find out why it's important to insure your e-bike, dirt bike, ATV, or RV. Once again, thanks for being here today, and enjoy your day.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to round number 7. The Kenda Tires Powerline Park GNCC. We jump immediately on board the Yamaha Racing live drone, and it looks like we have got a new leader out front. Bryson Neal has overtaken the number 1 spot. Got word from race control literally as we were coming back from commercial. So Neal making it happen. We saw he was on the charge, boys, picking up time here and there, and he strikes early here in this one.
Yeah, and we saw that crafty line just before we went to break, so you have to wonder, was it a mistake from Wilkin, or did Bryson Neal just have a better line or able to carry more speed through one of these sections? But one thing we know for sure, he's out front now, and that is a dangerous place for him to be for the rest of his competition with 5 rounds here, wins already here in 6 rounds in 2026. Bryson Neal, when he gets out front, tends to get comfortable comfortable, set a pace, and just one by one try to drop his competition. But Wyatt Wilkin latched in. He's got the hooks in. He's not letting him go. Wants to back up his win from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we'll see what he's able to do. Meanwhile, Bryson Neal having to respond after a tough round number 6. We were able to catch up with the number 1 and talk to him about his round 6.
Right before we had about 2 miles left, and I had a spot picked out for Wyatt that I was going to try something, and you know, I was just right there with him. Second place, even if I didn't get him, still a great points day, but ultimately, you know, had that mechanical issue, and the A-arm dropped anchor and sent me end over end and flipped, and really abruptly changed my course for the race.
So a big shakeup there for Bryson. And ultimately, you know, that big crash, like we heard from Hunter Hart, I mean, it almost brought him to a stop as well. Bryson talks a bit more about the specific crash that brought him down.
No sign, no warning, no sound, no, just end over end. Just chaos. I don't even know what happened. And yeah, so I was shaken up from it, and got up slow, just sore. Sore was my first thing, kind of just real stiff, but felt good. Rode that thing in on 3 wheels, and surprisingly the next day, I've actually felt better than what I did riding home. So just blessed that I only had bruises and little scratches, but could have been a nasty one, because we all take those diggers, and that was my freebie, I hope, my one and only for the year.
Well, as we're talking to Bryson Neal, we're seeing him in the midst of a battle for the point position. We had seen him when we went to break. He was able to overtake Wyatt Wilkin, take away that lead, but Wyatt Wilkin fighting back all through that section, inside, outside, and he is bringing the fight to Bryson Neal. He's not going to sit around and wait for the win to come to him. Wyatt Wilkin very much in a position where he's looking like he wants to just try to take the lead away and grab the win. And look at this. Again, this is not the demeanor or the moves of a rider who's trying to hang on to Bryson Neal. He wants that lead position back, and he wants it back right now.
Well, and we talked about it, Johnny, the difference between saying I can do it and I've done it. We know Wyatt Wilkin had already grabbed a win, but to get one here in 2026 when it just seemed like everything kept going right for Bryson Neal. And you best believe if you're Wyatt Wilkin or Hunter Hart, you're telling yourself that's how things would have ended up, maybe with Neal ending the podium, but they don't take the mechanical as the reason why they stood 1 and 2 on the podium. But look at this battle on screen. Absolutely fire between Neal and Wilkin.
Wyatt Wilkin, to me, like, look at, he refuses to follow Bryson Neal right now. And what that says to me is, like I said, I mean, this guy, he's not just trying to latch onto Bryson Neal, stay a few lengths back, see the lines, and hang with him. He wants that lead back, and he wants it back right now. This is a whole different Wyatt Wilkin. This is a rider that, riding that wave of confidence after his win 2 weeks ago, he's looking so racy, and you almost have to wonder, could this catch Bryson Neal off guard? Because we really haven't seen anybody fight back like this in 2026. When Bryson Neal makes a pass, it's like, okay, I want to see if I can hang with this guy. Wyatt Wilkin having that kind of attitude of, bro, you're in my way. I want to get back out front and run away from you, and that is, to least, to say impressive.
Well, and we've talked about it before. Wilkin, a rider who says, especially when it comes to somebody like a Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, when they get around him, he starts taking notes. He starts picking up exactly what it is they're doing. Neal's had a couple of spots where he's able to put things together a bit smoother than Wilkin. If he can stay close like this, pick up on a couple of things, he may be able to increase his speed even more. You can see him getting cheered on trackside as, just like you said, Johnny, he's not just hanging on to Bryson Neal, he's fighting him.
Guys, this is what GNCC ATV racing is all about.
I got to tell you guys, it's not often that I'll make an assessment of how someone's bike is working, but Wyatt's bike and the way he's riding it right now, it's staying flatter in the corners. Bryson is having to go out to those berms to get something to turn off of, and Wyatt Wilkin able to do just that and square him up. He's finding grip, and that machine is staying absolutely flat and stable on the inside of the corners. To me right now, Bryson Neal's a sitting duck. Now, when we say that, this is a guy who's won 4 championships, countless races. It's not like he can't fend off this charge, but he is very much in the crosshairs of Wyatt Wilkin right now. And I think Wyatt can sense that he's just better right now. His bike is working better. It's not really his, I mean, he's riding very well, but his bike is just outperforming his ATV is outperforming Bryson Neal's right now, and it's giving him a significant advantage.
Yeah, to your point, you can almost see they're maintaining pace, but it just seems like Wilkin's not having to ride the machine near as hard.
Yeah, it's stability in the corners. you know, Bryson Neal's machine is kind of rolling up. He's trying to find grip. He looks like he's fighting it a little bit. Wyatt Wilkin is just moderating the throttle perfectly, sliding through these corners, not having to go to the berm, which takes away so much momentum. He's just flowing the track better, and his machine staying flat is allowing him to do that. This is one of the biggest discrepancies I've seen on ATV Day in bike setup and how the machine's working. Not that Bryson's machine is working poorly, but Wyatt's is, he's just on rails right now.
Yeah, and he's got the grit here in this one, that's for sure. He was absolutely blasting through some of those walls of roofs that Bryson Neal was throwing, staying close enough that he wasn't in the dust zone. We talk about that a lot. Wyatt Wilkin, he's wheel to wheel as now they make their way back to the finish line.
You can see Wyatt turning his head there to save some of that roost hitting his goggles, trying to manage the amount of pulls he has left on those Scott tear-offs. Bryson Neal out front with clear vision, but he's got a rear view mirror full of the number 5 of Wyatt Wilkin right now.
Wilkin slamming into those walls as he makes his way through.
How about that white flag waving in the hands of Ricky Towery? One more lap to go as Bryson Neal got to deal with a fired up Wyatt Wilkin. We pick him back up on the drone.
And that's only going to add more sense of urgency for both of these riders now, knowing that this is the last trip around this Powerline Park track. They know if you're Bryson Neal, you just got to hold this charging crazy bull off behind you. And if you're Wyatt Wilkin, you have to take every shot and every opportunity to make that pass to grab the win here today.
Yeah, time to see red for sure if you are Wyatt Wilkin.
Lap times right at 25 minutes when they checked in that time through. And 25 more minutes left to go here in this one. And now Wyatt Wilkin is falling back into that dust zone now, so we'll see what he can do. Can he get back to the rear wheels of Bryson here?
And it's interesting to note, guys, this was a section of racetrack a lap ago where Bryson was able to kind of make up ground, and now it looks like his machine and his riding style are kind of paying off, starting to just inch away from Wilkin ever so slightly. The other side that's a little bit slicker, I think that's where Wyatt is just, and look at this. Oh, for a minute I thought we were going to get a pass there, but Bryson Neal able to close the door and hold on to that lead position. But it's almost a tale of two sections of racetrack right now. One side it looks like Bryson Neal is better, but Wyatt Wilkin hanging much closer here on this lap of racing. Last lap, Bryson Neal just kind of chipping away at what was a 6-second deficit, getting right to the rear wheels of Wilkin. Wilkin not giving up much time this time through, so if he can stay close to Bryson Neal, we're going to have a shootout right down to the finish line.
Yeah, I'm excited for this because we know both of them have wanted this toe-to-toe battle. At the end of the day, we even heard from Wyatt post-race said, that's not how I want to get this win. I want to be in a fight with Bryson. It's so much respect while also the most fierce competitors that you can have here at the top level of the sport. So to your point, I think the conditions have kind of settled in. They know what they're dealing with as far as this racetrack. Now it's just mano a mano at the front of the XC1 class.
Yeah, mano a mano, and looking as now Hunter Hart has checked in, that gap has opened up from 16 seconds to 43. So the question was posed, will Hunter Hart have enough pace to run these guys down? Giving up almost 30 seconds, 27 seconds on lap number 3, showing the pace that the front two are pushing, because Hunter Hart not tooling around out there. He has opened up a gap of 20 seconds over Jay Shadron. I thought we saw that on camera. We have lost Brandon Owens now. He was in that number 4 spot. But Jay Shadron was able to make the pass. Adam McGill now up inside the top 5. So great run here for the Gator here today on that 4-stroke machine. Not out there on the 2-stroke. Would have been cool to see him do that.
He's ping-pinging at Hart.
He's ping-pinging at Hart, but he's thumping on the track in that number 5 spot, which would be by far the best ride for Adam McGill here in 2026. Leaders on screen and still wheel to wheel.
Putting the Gator roll on him now, but the big question is, can Wyatt Wilkin ricochet the Bidwell Bullet here today back into that 2nd place spot?
Stephen Harrell up into the number 6 spot, making some moves. Jared McClure back with us this weekend, taking the last round off, I believe, to go snowcross racing.
Nice.
A little bit different conditions here today. Lead battle on screen. Wyatt Wilkin leading the way. Or, sorry, Bryson Neal leading the way. And Wyatt Wilkin, both of those riders getting a big kick through that section. And now it looks like Bryson has opened it up just a few bike lengths over the number 5 of Wilkin.
I tell you what, that machine was skipping back and forth underneath Wyatt Wilkin. I don't think the throttle cracked, though.
No, I don't believe so either. He was wide open, gas it out.
Guys, Brandon Owens has now checked in, still on track in the number 11 spot, back from 4th a lap ago. So again, running down the top 10, Bryson Neal, Wyatt Wilkin, Hunter Hart, Jay Shadron, Adam McGill, Stephen Harrell, Jared McClure, solid ride in that 7th spot. John Oglauda Jr. in 8th, Josh Merritt 9th, Chris Borch 10th, and then Brandon Owens 11th. Those are the only riders now with 3 laps complete. But look at this. Now our XC2 riders checking in. Still Lane McCormick leading the way in that one in the number 12 spot overall. Waiting to see Logan Steele check in to see if he was able to hold on to that number 2 spot. He was 26 seconds behind McCormick a lap ago. So still looking at the battle on screen. Bryson Neal leading the way. Wyatt Wilkin in the number 2 spot. Now Neal opening it up just a little bit. Wyatt not really close enough to make a move, guys.
Yeah, this is a big moment for Wyatt Wilkin. Got to take a breath and remount a charge forward to close within a few bike lengths. Otherwise, this is exactly where Bryson Neal does his best work. Just creeps away a little. Next thing you know, he's out of sight.
It's an interesting line for Wilkin there, kind of going to the outside of the track, squaring it up to try to get a better run. And looks like it paid off, closed up several bike lengths through that section. So this is where those lines come into play. It's not always about a pass. Sometimes it's about trying to gain enough ground to put yourself in a position to try to make that pass.
And it's going to be a tough one here for Wyatt Wilkin. Can he answer the call? I asked, could he ricochet the Bidwell Bullet into the 2nd place spot? The Bidwell Bullet is starting to look like a 50 caliber right now. It'll be hard to get him ricocheted, that's for sure, as making his way through. It's amazing to me how much speed these guys can catch in such a short amount of time, like we were talking about earlier, how they're able to just slingshot out of some of these corners.
Well, it's so funny. We took a look at some of the lap time charts, lap after lap, and you'll see sometimes it's a 5 to 6 second difference on paper as far as when they cross the line. You're like, there's no way. They were less than a bike length apart 50 feet before the finish line. So it's just that yo-yo back and forth that we always talk about. A lot of it just the place and time of the finish line.
Well, the yo-yo's getting reeled in, and now Wilkin right back to the rear wheels of Neal, trying to make the old, he's going to walk the dog. Isn't that a trick with the yo-yo there? Trying to get around Neal and take away that lead position. Wyatt Wilkin can't overstate how aggressive and how racy he's looking out there right now. He's throwing everything at the Bidwell Bullet, but that rider out front is not someone who's going to crack under pressure. He's going to run his lines, and if Wyatt Wilkin is going to earn the win here today, he's going to have to pull something out of the hat.
Well, these tighter sections really gives Wyatt Wilkin a chance to catch back up and get on those rear wheels when Bryson Neal is checking up in some of these sections. It seems like Wyatt Wilkin able to just hold it on that much longer. But look at this, Bryson Neal able to slingshot himself a few more bike lengths ahead just about every time we get into these open sections.
I've got to wonder if at this point, Bryson Neal may be a rider that's had so many battles, whether it be with Walker Fowler, all these different riders battling for wins. And in the recent years here, the last 4, coming out on top of those battles more times than not. But to see this much pressure from another rider for this long late in a race, it's not often that we've seen that. Yeah. Bryson Neal may not be intimidated, may not be shaken, but I guarantee you it's in his head like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't how this is supposed to go. I'm supposed to pass these guys and pull away, but Wyatt Wilkin not letting that happen, just keeps inching ever so much closer to the rear wheels and bringing the fight to Bryson Neal.
Well, to your point, Bryson's going to acknowledge it. He'll take it serious, and he'll give some props, too, to Wyatt. We see it time and time again up on the podium. So much respect between these athletes, and Wyatt talked about looking up to Bryson for many, many years, and Bryson talks about how cool it is to see younger generations like Hunter Hart, like Wyatt Wilkin, starting to come up and compete for wins regularly.
Well, as we're watching this battle on screen, you know, we talk about the 51 years of GNCC racing. Both of these riders are actually products of the youth ranks. So it's cool to see that. You know, we've obviously already seen former XC1 7-time champion Walker Fowler was one of the first youth champions here in GNCC racing all the way back in 2005. So these riders have GNCC in their blood, and once it gets in there, it's hard to get out, but they are kind of at different points in their career. Bryson Neal, a little bit older, not old by any means, but, you know, a family man. He's already got 4 titles. Wyatt Wilkin very much on the upside of his career, just kind of coming into his own, getting his first couple of wins here in the last few years, and looking like he's in a position to potentially put another notch in that belt here today with maybe another win if he can get around Bryson Neal.
We'll see what he can do, and you can see just how much this track has developed throughout this race, starting to see those train track ruts here through the trees as we watch from the live drone. and I expect this to be a tough last lap. We've heard it from our younger riders, speaking of our youth riders up on the podium, just how tough some of this tracks have gotten, and in particular certain sections really being beat up, according to them at least. I'm sure that's going to come into effect going into these final few here for our top two.
Looking at that, back to the battle on screen. Lapped riders in the mix, but those riders getting wisely out of the way. Look at this, 2 separate lines, and look like Wyatt Wilkin got a really good drive there. So as we jump to the next camera shot, it'll be interesting to see, was that the move for the lead? Taking a look back, we'll wait for Hunter Hart here, but in that XC2 class, Lane McCormick leading the way now with a 1 minute and 29 second lead over James Glaude in the number 2 spot. Kevin Yoho just 0.9 seconds behind Glaude in that number 3 spot. And we'll also give a quick shout out to our overall amateurs. Harrison Lindsay has gotten back around Ryan Wilhelm. We said call the fire department because those boys are going to burn it down. Huge gap now, 2 seconds.
Wow.
Those two are throwing down. Harrison Lindsay has the lead out of Woodruff, South Carolina, and Ryan Wilhelm out of Carmichael's, Pennsylvania in the number 2 spot, all over the rear wheels of Harrison Lindsay. And here is your 3rd place rider on screen, Hunter Hart. Last we had seen, it looked like that might starting to be closing up a little bit with Jay Shadron in the number 4 spot. It was only about 20 seconds back to the battle for the lead, and it looks like Bryson Neal held on.
Yeah, he did. Bryson going to still be up in that top spot. Wyatt Wilkin, however, he is still right there. Just a couple bike links between those two. And I noticed when we had Hunter, as Jay Shadron now making his way through mile 6, Hunter Hart having some of his pit crew there and opting to not get the water bottle as he made his way through. So Hunter Hart looks to be on the charge.
Yeah, that was a tough spot right there. I obviously got the intent. It was a clear area. They didn't have to turn immediately before or after, but high speed would have been tough for Hunter to grab that bottle, ultimately deciding to not even try it. So
there we see that outside line from Neal, and this time Wyatt Wilkin saying, oh, okay, that was a cool little line. Following him through there, and this is coming down to the nitty-gritty here, folks. We are more than halfway through our final lap of racing, and this is how close the battle for the lead is. Bryson Neal looking to gain his 6th win in 7 rounds, but Wyatt Wilkin, if he can make the pass, looking to have his 2nd win in the last 2 rounds, going back-to-back if he can make the pass on the Bidwell Bullet.
We'll see how it all plays out here. Neal so strong in the closing stages of this race, but this is a whole new level of fired up Wyatt Wilkin.
Expectations change fast here in GNCC racing, and I think that's happened with Wyatt Wilkin.
Guys, if we can get the shot, do you see those? There, it looks like there's some marks up on the left side. We don't have our teleprompter, but there is a line up there on that bank, and it looked like possibly either Wyatt Wilkin or Bryson Neal took that line a lap ago. So as we wait and watch here, this could be a spot to keep an eye on. Hopefully our camera will cooperate with us here. It's been challenging with the conditions here today. All the water kind of messing with the cameras, and even some internet issues as well. Folks, broadcasting races from out in the wilderness, not an easy task.
No doubt.
Hats off to our Racer TV crew for doing as well as they have given the conditions, and a lot goes into this. The folks at home, it's easy to say, well, the camera froze, but there's a lot that goes into it. Makes it very challenging. We appreciate these guys and all the efforts that they're doing to bring the action here from the Kenda Powerline Park right into your living room at home.
Yeah,
not even imaginable 20 years ago.
Most of these facilities that we're on, we couldn't call you if we wanted to, but nonetheless, we found a way to get you Racer TV.
No cell service, but we're broadcasting a race live all around the world. We know there's people watching from all around the world. We get to see the map when they look and see who's logged in and watching. Riders from Europe, fans from Europe, Asia, South America, all over the world tuned in watching Racer TV live here from the Kenda Powerline Park, GNCC, and what a battle they are being treated to here. Bryson Neal leading the way, Wyatt Wilkin in the number 2 spot, but let's keep an eye on this camera shot and keep our fingers crossed that the transmission will stay solid, because we may see a move for the lead. Hard to see, but just to the right of that Yamaha banner, you can kind of see some tread marks up on the hill, and that is a usable race line there, well within the 25 feet of the marked course. But what you can't see on the backside is you have to go right straight up a rock wall that is very slick from the creek to make it up there, so you have to carry a lot of speed, and it is a big risk, big reward move, because it's about 2 seconds faster. But if you miss, you tumble back down into the creek, and then you're losing some big time.
It's going to cost you big time.
Yeah, it is a big risk, big reward. And I know the camera paused last time, but I saw one of those 2 riders up on that hillside. Don't know if it was Wilkin or if it was Bryson Neal, but we may find out here in just a moment. And here we see on screen
I guess that's Bryson Neal.
Bryson Neal took the line. Wyatt Wilkin opting to go down through the creek. So I knew I caught that a lap ago, but that is a huge risk that Bryson Neal took to take that line. Had he not have made it clean up that bank, again, we don't have a shot of it, but guys, imagine a vertical rock wall with water all over it, and it's only about 10 feet high, but there's no speed. You're coming from a stop in the creek. If you don't make it up over, you tumble back down into the creek. You can't roll back down. So Bryson Neal made it work, able to hold on to lead, but Wyatt Wilkin charging down that creek and still right on his rear wheels.
Yeah, I was going to say, he really did not pick up a ton. Still within a bike length or so, Wyatt Wilkin was right back to eat and roost off the number 1.
Take my comments about conservative and throw them away.
Well, that's what's so crazy is talking to these riders post-race. There's times where you were on the ragged edge, you were hanging out, and they're like, no, I decided to pick it up a little bit, but still well in control and so confident and so familiar with what they're capable of. It's really impressive here on the 4-wheel and 2-wheel side of things.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. Johnny was talking about fans watching from all over the world. We have racers here from all over the world as well. So if you're out there and you're thinking about it yourself, come on out. I almost guarantee, unless you are coming from somewhere like Europe, you're probably not going to be the only one from your area, from your state, or from your country that is racing with us. There we go.
Hunter Hart in the number 3 spot. That is how much of a gap Bryson Neal and Wyatt Wilkin have opened up here about 3/4 of the way through our final lap of racing. We expect to see them pop on screen any moment here at the 10-mile marker. And what we hope to see is still a wheel-to-wheel battle. Will it be Bryson Neal still continuing to lead the way? Has Wyatt Wilkin been able to make a move? And here it is on screen. Bryson Neal still leading the way. Both of those riders jumping up out of that lower section of racetrack and continuing the fight here with just about 2 miles left. This one is going to go right down to the wire.
Man, you can't ask for anything better than this. Bryson Neal in control of it and got to think comfortable defending from the front, as he's going to have to make Wilkin take this win from him, not giving him anything.
No doubt. Talk about racers from all over the world. These two right now, they're in their own zip code. Well ahead of Hunter Hart, Jay Shadron, Adam McGill.
And not far from their home zip code either.
Yeah. They're headed there now.
Yeah, both of these riders living, give or take, probably less than an hour and a half from here. Wow. So it's about as close as you're going to get to a home race, except we raced the Penton, which is closer to both of their houses. But familiar territory for both of these riders. The Ohio dirt has a unique, how do I say this, terribleness to it. It is, when it gets any moisture on it, it immediately becomes super slick. When it's dry, it's some of the powderiest dust on earth. But it really does provide us for great racing action. And we have 2 rounds in Ohio, and it's always a roll of the dice. Are we going to get a dust fest? Are we going to get a mud fest? Today, I think, is about as close to perfect as you're going to get in the state of Ohio. Yes, it's a little bit muddy, but it really hasn't been bad. We can see most of these riders able to make it through with 1, maybe 2 sets of goggles. Hunter Hart on screen in the number 3 spot, still looking to round out the podium, and he has a pretty sizable gap of about 20 seconds over Jay Shadron in the number 4 spot.
So how about it? A tooth and nail battle. Jay Shadron making his way through.
So the same 4 from 2 weeks ago that were the top 4 in the final lap of racing. A little bit different order. Right now, Bryson Neal leading the way. Wyatt Wilkin in the number 2 spot. Jay Shadron sitting back there in 4th. You got to believe you never want to hope for any misfortune for any of their competitors, but he was able to take advantage of the issue Bryson Neal having on the final lap 2 weeks ago. Sitting back there in the catbird seat right now saying, hey, 4th is good. I'm 4th in points. I'm 4th here today. But, you know,
ready to capitalize. That's all I say about Jay Shadron right now. He's in a solid spot. And if anything happens with those top 3 with a battle like this, especially between 1 and 2, anything is possible as we pick him up here on the Yamaha Racing live drone. The battle is on.
You see that there, the way Wilkin is able to stay to the inside of the corner. Yeah, I understand Bryson Neal likely going out there to make sure he's got the grip, but he's really leaving the door open for Wyatt Wilkin. If Wilkin can get a good run, we saw him up next to Neal inside that left-hander just before the finish line a lap ago. So we'll see if that plays out again. If Wyatt Wilkin get a little bit better run, we might see some contact and some really good racing down through the final corners.
Well, and that's what we've talked about. We've seen close racing between these riders before. We've talked about the respect, but it's also going to be how much is Wilkin ready to put out there for it, make a statement.
Everything.
And I agree. I think he's going to lay it all out there. I think we're going to see some bar banging if it leads to it. I think Wilkin has started to establish himself as a consistent possible race winner.
You saw that lap rider coming to a stop. He heard those guys coming and said, I want no part of what you guys got going on. This is a battle for a win. And I'm just going to sit here, let you guys go by, and I'll resume my race here in just a moment.
So the freight train moves on forward here, 11-mile mark.
Here they are, leaders on screen. Bryson Neal still leading the way. Wyatt Wilkin right on his rear wheels, just sliding his way through this slick Ohio clay. About 45 seconds back is Hunter Hart in the number 3 spot. So looking like a 2-rider duel through the final 2 miles of racing.
And I tell you what, Johnny, it just seems like it would be so frustrating in these conditions. You're slideways, you're not going forward like you wanted. You can see them getting further away. You're trying to get that traction back. Wilkin doing a great job of staying patient as well, not overriding this machine.
Well, and to your point, Zach, that is a key in conditions like this, patience. If you get too heavy on the throttle, you can easily blow the rear tires off, have that back end come sliding around. You can see Wyatt Wilkin still not using that berm. So much confidence in his machine right now. He is taking the most direct line between 2 points, which is allowing him to stay right on the rear wheels of Bryson Neal. And this is the section just a lap ago where things really got interesting. It looked like Wyatt Wilkin was just able to kind of figure some lines out, carry more speed, keep that machine flatter, stay to the insides of the corners, putting him in position to try to make a move on the number 1 of Bryson Neal.
If he's going to make a late race push, now is the time. Got to go, go, go for Wyatt Wilkin, as here it is, 1 and 2. He's within maybe 2 bike lengths of Bryson Neal. Gets a little hung up right there, but got to be as close as he possibly can if he wants to try to make something happen.
He's close, but he's not close enough to make a move, but he's carrying a lot of speed through this section, closing it up just a bit. This is one of those corners where we saw the big difference a lap ago. Both of these riders taking the outside, finding some dry dirt and some clean running room. But look at this, Wilkin trying to make it work up that inside. Bryson Neal take a look over his shoulder and saying, how is this guy staying so close and how is he running these insides? You can see Wilkin squaring him up, trying to get a run. Look at that right there. You can see how he's able to just close up that gap. He's going to dive up the inside and try to make a move. Oh, he had a line there, just not wanting to run dirty, but he makes the pass.
Closes the door on him. Wyatt Wilkin, I'm taking it from Mikey Waynes. That's a grown man move if I've ever seen one. What a pass.
Guys, we saw that set up a lap ago. Wyatt Wilkin's machine just staying so flat through those sections of racetrack. He's able to use those inside lines, but now the hunter has become the hunted, and he has the big number 1, the 4-time champion, Bryson Neal, chomping at the bit to try to gain that position back, but Wyatt Wilkin is running scared, knowing he can't leave an inside open. He can't make a mistake. This is where we saw them side by side a lap ago. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and lapped riders are in the mix.
I'm telling you what, Johnny, I don't know about running scared, but he is certainly knows that he made a statement. Bryson Neal, and I mean, that's a multiple corner attack right there from Wilkins. So perfectly set up. Went for it, adjusted. Went for it again, adjusted, and 3rd time's the charm, gets the job done.
Well, and we talked about it, Zach. Wyatt's bike just seeming to be staying flatter in these corners, allowing him to run those insides. Bryson consistently running the outsides, going to the berm. Look at this now, Bryson right back to the rear wheels. Wyatt under full pressure. This is an all-out assault from Bryson Neal, but he set that up a lap ago. He just knew that the way his machine was working, he was able to carry more speed through those corners and absolutely made Bryson Neal question his line choice there as he ran it up the inside 2 corners in a row. And honestly, had he have stayed on, he might have made that pass a lap or a corner earlier, but he respected the fact he would have made pretty hard contact there. The contact we saw in that next corner, that was a racing incident there, folks. Nothing dirty there. Bryson Neal left the door open, and Wyatt Wilkin opened it up and said, thank you very much, I will take the lead.
How about this? So much easier said than done. Wilkin right now got to stay focused on Wilkin. He's had the pace. I think he's been a bit quicker. Now Neal's going to do everything he can to try to rattle his cage, peek to the inside, even when he knows he's maybe not quite able to make the pass. But look at this. Wilkin has responded, got a little bit of breathing room.
There's no breathing. He's holding his breath right now. Bryson Neal full on charge, just a few more corners. Wyatt Wilkin trying to thread that line of not leaving the outside open, but making sure he gets a good drive so Bryson Neal can't get up next to him. And this is it. This is the final corners.
Here it is. Bryson Neal going to give it one last-ditch effort. Such a great job. Wyatt Wilkin riding defensively, trying to hit his marks. Man, what a show there through pit lane as Wilkin does a solid job.
I'm shaking right now. This one is so exciting.
This is what we've been waiting to see. This is what these riders have been waiting to have as well. A true battle. A good drive from Neal here. Running out of real estate, Johnny, the final few feet.
there's a few corners left, but in my gut, I feel like that was the money move that Wyatt Wilkin made out there in that open section of racetrack. Now, down to the final chicanes, the finish line just off in the distance. Bryson Neal throwing everything at it, showing why he is a 4-time champion and countless-time race winner. He is not leaving any opportunity for Wyatt Wilkin to leave that door open, but Wyatt closed the door and able to maintain that lead here. We can see the finish line in the distance. This one coming right down to the final corner, Zach, and I don't know that I've taken a breath.
Man, this is insane. The Yamaha drone giving such a great shot. The fans here at the finish line, you see it here on Racer TV. Everybody wanting to see how this is going to work out. He waited. He talked about building not only his confidence, but his speed as well. Wyatt Wilkin showing that he has now arrived. And everybody eager to see this one come to a checkered flag.
Even the lapped riders taking a look over their shoulder to see what everyone is so excited about, because there is a battle for the ages coming to the finish line. And here it comes, folks. Wyatt Wilkin still holding on to that lead position. Bryson Neal in the number 2 spot. Just a few corners remaining.
Wilkin in the final few chicanes. Neal going to put a little pressure on him, a little bumping and grinding. Oh, coming down to the final few corners, they almost come to a stop. And how about it? Wyatt Wilkin gets the job done 2 in a row here at round number 7. And absolute support here. Look at this. So much props being given between Neal and Wilkin. That was one of the best battles we've seen here on Racer TV.
It was interesting to see a lap ago when Bryson Neal was able to make the pass. Wyatt Wilkin immediately responded and went on the offensive, and that to me was the big difference in the mindset. He felt like he had the pace, and at the end of the race, he proved it, making the move right there from our Yamaha Racing live drone on Racer TV and grabbing the win here today. 2 wins in a row for Wyatt Wilkin, closing up the points. Another 5 points here in this 2026 overall championship battle. What a race.
The kid is looking comfy right now. This is a whole new Wyatt Wilkin. We've talked about the confidence continuing to build for him. The smile says it all. Had to fight for it, had to earn it, and earn it he did.
We'll wait and watch here for Hunter Hart on the 318 machine in the number 3 spot. And looks like this may be Hunter now coming in to round out our overall podium. And it is Hunter Hart with a great ride. Coming from the back of the pack, he had to make so many passes, getting himself up into 3rd place. Put in a charge. Looked like he might have something for them. But the lead duo of Wilkin and Neal just laying down 2 fast laps at the end of the race and opening up a 1:19 gap over Hunter Hart. You know this rider, one of the best in the world on 4 wheels. A 1:19 lost in the last 2 laps of racing. The front 2 were absolutely flying.
Yeah, we continue to see that level elevate at the front of the field, and Hart just not quite able to catch a ride with it and be able to pace off of it. Here is Jay Shadron coming across the line in that number 4 spot. Another solid finish for the number 7 ride.
15 seconds behind Hart. A great last lap for Jay Shadron. Very much in the mix. We saw him on the podium 2 weeks ago, backing it up with another solid performance here today in the number 4 spot. We should have some more riders checking in. We are waiting on Adam McGill, see if he can earn his first top 5 of 2026 here today. And he should be coming. He was about, looks like he was about 41 seconds behind Shadron a lap ago. We'll see if the Gator can get it done for a 5th place finish here today. I believe our man Jackson Burrell's down there at the finish line. Look like this. John Glauda Jr. coming in here through the final chicanes. And McGill still not checked in. So is Glauda going to wrestle away this 5th place spot?
Looks like it. So how about it? The 712 responds with a solid top 5.
Glauda has checked in.
Yeah, look at this.
Adam McGill in the number 6 spot, and Josh Merritt just behind him there in 7th. A charge to the finish line between those 2 riders.
Coming down to the wire there, you see Hunter Hart. Another solid podium finish. A little bit of frustration on the face there, Johnny. You know he wishes he could have at least been up there in that fight.
Yep. I mean, hats off to Hunter Hart, though. He did not have a good start. He was buried in the pack, made some quick moves early, but perhaps, and you can't get inside these guys' head, maybe the frustration stemming from the fact that he was able to get to 3rd, but when he dropped the hammer thinking he was going to make up time, he was consistently losing time. But it's so hard to know the pace. Jackson talked about that. Those top 2 were just pushing right to the razor's edge. Hart, as hard as he was putting it all out there, just couldn't match that pace through the final 2 laps.
So here we go. You see it on your Yamaha Racing live drone, the chaos of the post-race celebrations, and it looks like we've got our very own Jackson Burrell standing by with Wyatt Wilkin.
Hey guys, I sure am standing by with today's overall winner, Wyatt Wilkin. Man, you got that one fair and square, that's for sure. Take us through it, Wyatt.
Wow, dude. Oh, man, I joked all week long, like, hey, what if we do 2 in a row? And there's no damn way I pulled that off. Got the shot, and I was like, dude, okay, let's see if we can run this again. And dude, first lap, the track was so slick. Like, where all that rain came down, man, it was just, like, slipping and sliding. And I was just trying to figure out where I'd go fast and where not. And then second lap came around, and half the track was tacky. And I was like, what is going on here? This track is changing a bunch. And third lap, it got a little better, but it was so weird. You had half the track that was super slick, then you had another half that was like real tacky, real good racy. And honestly, I think Bryson was a little faster than me in the tacky stuff, but that slick stuff, man, I had a couple good lines, cut some corners up, and man, what a freaking race, dude. He got me fourth, or how many laps do we do? I don't even know, dude. It's a damn blur. So third lap, man, when I biked the track, there was this hill climb, man. I was biking with Noah Likens, and he made a joke like, you think you can go up that? And I was like, no shot. I ain't even trying. I ain't risking it. Sure enough, Neil went right up that hill, came down, passed me. I was like, all right, well, there is somebody crazy enough to climb that. So lost my position there, and then I was like, okay, let's hang on the back of him, just pressure, just keep it on him. And man, there was a couple times he made a couple bobbles, so I could tell we were pushing the pace really, really hard. And my trainer pointed me a line back here on this hill climb, and man, I almost did it, and we probably would have came together. And I second guessed. I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna mess with that one. I'm gonna try to get him somewhere else. And the third lap, back here on this power line, man, I was squaring him up, and I just didn't get it done. I was like, okay, this is my spot. Do we come up there? Sure enough, dude, I nailed that line. Outside cut up, rode my outside, just carried all my momentum. And then I actually dove in, and I didn't want to come into him, so I backed off. Well, then that kind of pushed him out wide, and then it was fair game from there. Then I was like, oh, we're running him into the fence. And dude, I was so damn scared from here to there, or from there to here. I was blocking every inside the finish. I was blocking, I was like, he's going to have to run me over to get through me. And dude, I don't even know, just another one's insane.
Absolute phenomenal ride. Wyatt, I got to ask you, coming into today, we talked about it a little bit on Racer TV. Were the expectations different after that last win? Leaving here today, are the expectations different?
Oh, man. I'm just taking it race by race, man. I want to be on the podium, but if these wins feel good, I'm not going to lie. And I had a lot of confidence coming to this week. And, you know, I did a lot of thinking on what the past few races. We are so close, and just we were close. I mean, but 2 in a row, we got it done. And it's doable, man. Bryson's he's a champ, dude, and he's got everything figured out. But if I could just start doing a little bit different, just try to stay there, and we'll have some good racing, man. I'm just stoked.
Well, it sure looked like you had some fire underneath you coming into today. Going to be headed to New York for the next race. Going to be a little different than what we see here today in Ohio. How you feeling? What's the plan?
Man, I heard that the track was going to be tight. Bryson's good in the tight, man. Talladega is one of his strong ones. I mean, I'm excited. Honestly, they had a good bit of fresh cut in here, good tight old school stuff. And man, I feel like I had just as much as Bryson, if not more. And man, I was just right there with him in that stuff. So if that's how the track's going to be at Watkins Glen, man, I am amped. But nonetheless, man, just good racing. Everybody out there yelling, cheering us on, man. It had me so amped up, and I hope to keep giving the people a show.
It looks like we got a different win streak forming now. Your overall winner, everybody, Wyatt Wilkin.
Well, Zach, there we go. Back-to-back wins for Wyatt Wilkin. And I got a question for you.
All right.
Do you think Wyatt Wilkin is a little bit excited?
You know, I was hoping for more. I was hoping for a little fight. No, that's what we love, is that passion, that energy and emotion. And Wyatt, it just goes to show how much they put into this. And what a way to do it as well, to take it down to the wire, to make the pass happen, to have to take control of that race. And Bryson certainly not giving him anything. What an impressive performance. But the other side of that battle, what an impressive ride for the number one of Bryson Neal, responding to a tough break there at round 6. He stands by with Jackson Burrell.
Yeah, guys, I'm standing by with Bryson Neal now. Bryson, second place here today. What a run, man. Take us through it. Take us through battling with Wyatt.
Yeah, man, what a day. This place, I don't know what it is, but it's got my number the last 3 years. I've been so close to winning this race, and all 3 years just coming up short. So Powerline, if it's on the schedule next year, I got to try to swing back and try to get the dub here, because it's I've only won one time ever here in my whole career. So great day, though. For the rain that we got, the track turned out really racy. It was pretty slippery the first lap. I think I got a really good jump off the line. 5th, I think, going into the woods, somewhere around there. Passed Owens and Jay. Chris Boards let me by, and then started trying to track Wyatt down, and got to him. It was right around the time we pit stopped. Then I got to his rear wheels, and man, we was feeling really good. Bike was feeling awesome. Made a pass on him, and then man, I felt like I had all the lines dialed from that point, and was just trying to race forward. The track, you could override it. It's really, you had traction sometimes, other times you had nothing. It was real slip, and right there in that field section, I just broke loose just a little bit. I messed up the corners. That was on me, and lost my drive. He came up the inside, and man, he got me. So hats off to him. It was a good race, great finish, and yeah, I'm happy to get second place, especially the last race, how it turned up, and on the box, and still healthy, still rocking and rolling, and feeling good.
Yeah, great points day for you here today. We talked about it a little bit in the booth today. I've got to ask you, are you a little bit surprised to see how much of a fight you got here today?
Oh no, that's not in my mind at all. Every race is a new tale. Every track's different, and there's no surprises. You know, I work hard. Everybody works hard, and you know, not every race is going to be a runaway or a win or this or that. It could by an inch or a mile in my book. So Wyatt did a great job today, and we'll rebound. We'll be ready for New York.
Hey, speaking of New York, Bryson, how are we feeling? What do you think there is to look forward to here in a few weeks?
I'm excited. Brand new place, brand new venue. Looking forward to get after it. Hopefully we got some good True Blue Hare Scramble racing with some good fields out there in the New York, because man, if it's like the Tomahawk, it's 15 minutes away. Tomahawk had really, really good field sections, and that's some of my favorite stuff. GNCC throws that stuff in. Powerline had some awesome fields today. You could really crank on it coming out of the woods, and it makes it for a really fun racing. So I like the New York dirt. Looking forward to it.
He's going to be ready to go, guys. That is the Bidwell Bullet, your second place here today.
Well, love to see that from Bryson Neal. And like you said, a big turnaround from what was just a few weeks ago. Salvaging that 9th overall and responding here today. Might have been second, but was right there in the fight for the win. So glad to see, if nothing else, Bryson Neal still with us and still healthy.
Absolutely. Bryson Neal responding to a rough round 6, coming back here in position to grab the win, but Wyatt Wilkin not to be denied, digging deep. Another rider who, you know, really had to dig deep here today. A poor start, but working his way up through the pack. I believe our man Jackson Barella is down with Hunter Hart, today's 3rd place finisher.
Yep, I'm standing by with HH now. Hunter Hart, I know we saw a little bit of a shake of the head after that one, but man, a podium spot for you here today. Take us through it.
Yeah, dude, you just can't guys anytime on the first lap, let alone, you know, starting the day. I think I was almost last in the woods. Just don't know what happened. Just got a little bit too much spin coming off the start, and just couldn't quite get where I wanted to be on the start. But you know, it was all good. Like we just had to pick them off one by one. Kind of fumbled the goggle change in the pits on the first lap, and lost 2 positions there, and just couldn't make the time up. And then we had a good flow going the last lap. We were digging into the time. I think had it down to, I think they said like -15. And dude, just at the 9, Lapper tried to get out of the way, and he ended up tagging a tree. As he tagged the tree, I went to tuck by him, and he spun sideways, and him and I actually got stuck together. I had to jump off, and the Lapper and I actually had to flip his quad over to get it out. So whoever that was, thank you. But dude, it sucked. Like we just bled a lot of time there, and I knew Jay wasn't far behind. And we get going, and I see the headlights, and I was like, damn, dude, like this is gonna be a fight to the end. No, it's all good though. Solid points day. You know, we're still on the podium again. Just working forward. Just keep clicking. You know, headed to the home race next weekend, which will be nice. Happy here, healthy and happy, and be on some dirt that I know. You know, this was their hometown race. Glad to be going to mine next weekend. And no, glad it rained though. It made for a lot better racing. And just gonna keep working hard, and we're gonna make sure that we can be in the best place we can be. Coming in, got 3 weeks to be better, and you know what? We'll be better in 3 weeks.
There it is, guys. He's gonna go put in the work. Hunter Hart ready to head to New York.
Glad to hear that from Hunter. And once again, it was a great ride, making a lot of moves early there, Johnny, but just not quite able to close that gap up and catch the ride, if you will, with those top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way he came through the pack, it was like he was a dog with a bone. I mean, making passes, we saw him at the tail end of the top 10, up into the top 5, ultimately getting to that 3rd place spot. You could sense the frustration with the last lap mishap, but still a great ride for Hunter Hart. Man, what a battle for those guys. Top 3 there. We've got a little race recap coming up here, but giving a shout out to our XC2 guys. It looks like Lane McCormick back-to-back wins here in the last 2 rounds, and looking at the finishing order, potentially taking over the points lead in that XC2 class. Second in XC2, James Glotta, and then Keaton Henderson rounding out your XC2 podium. So what a day for those three. And we may have a shakeup for our XC2 points lead. Braxton Gross not inside the top 5 as riders are continuing to check in.
How about it? Things continue to get more and more exciting as we take a look back at your Specialized race recap here from round number 7, the Kenda Powerline Park GNCC. Lot of momentum for this guy headed into the weekend, fresh off of his first win of the season. The crowd was fired up for him, a home race for him, and starting things off just like he was wanting to. You see that starting row when it came down to it. A little bit of water on top of the grass, but they still charge into turn number 1, and it was Bryson Neal and Wyatt Wilkin. Bar to bar, Wilkin ends up grabbing that hole shot.
And
meanwhile,
you can see Hunter Hart up in the mix there early, but he's getting bounced around. And as he continues, he's kind of in the middle of the pack. You look at him, he gets shuffled back another few there, kind of left, right, and it was just getting pushed back corner by corner. But in the XC2, it was a clear hole shot for the 27 of Kenny Schick, running a great pace early on. But Lane McCormick charging up that inside that became the outside. And Kevin Yoho coming back with us this weekend, deciding at the last minute to race that XC2 class, leading lap number 1, but here off the start, up into that number 3 spot.
Meanwhile, a bit further ahead, Bryson Neal starts to apply the pressure as he was under his own pressure from Chris Borich, who got a great start and was running up front early before a little mishap put him back just outside the top 5. But at this point, Wyatt Wilkin was up ahead several seconds and was trying to put the hammer down. You can see just how hard Wilkin was pushing, getting sideways more than a few times. But ultimately, we would start to see the Bidwell Bullet creep forward, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. Wilkin had a pretty good gap early on. Almost looked like he was going to start to open that up. But just after the goggle pit stops and coming in, getting fuel there, Bryson Neal really put on a charge and immediately closed up the gap. And once they came out here on lap number 3, it was Wilkin. But look at this, the Bidwell Bullet all over the back of the number 5 machine and looking for an opportunity to pass. We see this outside line tucking under those tree limbs. And then our next camera shot, Wyatt Wilkin takes lead, or Bryson Neal takes lead from Wyatt Wilkin. We did get word, it was that line in the creek where Bryson Neal was able to make that pass on lap number 3, but then came down. This was heading to the white flag, and Wyatt Wilkin all over Bryson Neal. We saw him able to just make those inside moves, just like that one right there, ultimately would come into play later on in the race.
Yeah, this was a big moment for Wyatt Wilkin. We've seen him kind of just settle in, try to hang on. This time he said, okay, let's go to battle. He stepped up and brought the fight back to the number 1. You see him taking that high line just at the center of your screen, but it kept him in front of Wilkin, but it wasn't long before the inside started to work for the number 5. Johnny, you had been talking about it, the strength for Wilkin, able to run it up the inside, and from there, he said he was scared, but he was playing it safe, riding a wide machine.
Running scared, baby. You know you've got one of the best in the business ever to do it on 4 wheels behind you, but Wyatt Wilkin dug deep, made all the right moves. Despite a little spin out there, Bryson Neal, you can see the head shake, would have been his opportunity, but Wyatt Wilkin able to close it out, grab the win. You see the little bump there, all friendly, because right here, there's a fist bump between these two, and they are both excited. You know Bryson Neal would have liked to get the win, but always good racing between these two and so many others here in GNCC. Hunter Hart taking the number 3 spot, and then Jay Shadron 4th here at the finish of this one. Another great ride for the number 7 of Shadron, but an elated Wyatt Wilkin. So excited in his post-race interview. You could see just how much this one meant to him.
Yeah, the smile says it all. We know how bad Wilkin wanted to not only grab the win, but feel as though he earned it, taking that fight all the way down to the wires. We take a look now at your Rocky Mountain ATV top 10. It was Wyatt Wilkin grabbing the win with Bryson Neal. And Hunter Hart rounding out your top 3. Jay Shadron and John Glotta Jr. round out your top 5. The Gator, Adam McGill in 6th. Josh Merritt, Steve Harrell, Chris Borich, and Jared McClure are going to round out your top 10 for the XC1 class. Well, we said it. A lot of excitement coming here into round number 7, and it has certainly delivered, at least on Saturday. Johnny, what are your big takeaways from the last 2 hours?
My big takeaway, and I'll say this in bold letters, we've been asking the question all throughout 2026. What's it going to take to stop Bryson Neal? Well, Wyatt Wilkin has an answer, and it's me. Wyatt Wilkin, absolutely amazing today. Under pressure, fighting back, grabbing the lead on that last lap, grabbing the win back back-to-back wins for Wyatt Wilkin. He's here to play, and he's in the mix for the 26 championship.
I'm going to echo the same thing. I think Wyatt Wilkin has arrived. We've started to see the confidence. We've known the speed. The fitness was there. The pieces all starting to fall into place. And also going to say, we've got quite the battle going on in our XC2 class. What we thought was just trading some wins is now turning into a serious points championship. Just makes it that much more fun to watch here on Racer TV.
Absolutely. We've got battles all over the track here today, and you got to watch them all live on Racer TV. What a show, folks. We hope you enjoyed it here with us today. And, hey, we're coming back tomorrow with some more racing action as well. This isn't the end of the things here at the Powerline Park.
No doubt about it. Absolutely. As we take a look at your RacerTV.com upcoming broadcast, just like Johnny said, it's going to be coming at you live at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon for our Pro Bike 3-hour showdown. And then kicking off the 2026 Bagger Racing League Round 1 out in Hastings, Nebraska. That's going to be on May 23rd, starting at 1 p.m. And then back GNCC out at a new location, Watkins Glen, coming up on June 6th and 7th, ATV and bikes Saturday and Sunday. Well, as always, it takes a village, and we need to hand out some serious thank yous. A ton of people working behind the scenes to put these broadcasts on. Starting things out with our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell, OPAG, our producer, Adam Gordon, our director, Don Hampton, our replay operator, Cameron Cotter, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, as well as our second engineer, Jack Renner, our manager, Dan Reinhart, as well as the official spotter, David Hollywood Kripe, our camera operators, Jack Renner, Adam Adkins, Josh Hefner, Adam Arndt, Dave Kelsch, Dylan Adkins, John Carpenter, and Mike Nichols, our moto filmer, Brian Risch, as well as our eyes in the sky, the drone pilot, Gabe Schull. For Jackson Burrow and Johnny Gallagher, I'm Zach Herron. We'll see you guys here tomorrow for more action on Racer TV.